Chapter 644. This fork in the valley was very long, and the deeper one went, the narrower it became. Do-Di continued to run towards the depths of this place, and after half an hour, Ning Cheng, who was following behind her, suddenly stopped. Do-Di also stopped as she looked back at Ning Cheng and asked in doubt, "Brother Cheng, why did you stop?" Ning Cheng pointed to a wall behind him and spoke, "If there are treasures inside, then we should go in from this place, rather than going further in. According to my experience, there should be a concealment defensive array formation here. It's just that it's been a long time, and this concealment formation is a little broken." Ning Cheng was already close to becoming a rank 6 Imperial Array Master. Moreover, when he came to this place, he could feel a trace of water aura overflowing from the side. He swept out with his divine sense and found that he would reach the end in less than 100 miles. However, there was nothing at the end. Therefore, this fork could only be entered from here. After Do-Di heard Ning Cheng's words, she immediately took out a jade strip from her ring and swept it with her spiritual consciousness. Soon her face turned slightly red with embarrassment. Knowing the location was the main trump card for her to cooperate with Ning Cheng. Now she had not even found the place, but Ning Cheng had unexpectedly found it first. How embarrassing was this? "I'm sorry, I really walked past you just now." Do-Di's complexion returned to normal as she looked at Ning Cheng with some doubts. "How do you know about this place? Could it be that you also have a map?" Ning Cheng showed a faint smile. "How I know about this place is not important. The important thing is that we should hurry up and go in. More and more people are coming here. If I can find this place, it means that others can too." "Yes, we should hurry in." Do-Di understood that this must be the other party's secret. How could he tell her? As if to cover up her embarrassment, she first took out her magic treasure. "This is a hidden defensive array formation. I can't break this array formation. Therefore, we only have one option, and that is to attack. With the two of us working together, we can break it in 4 hours at most. As long as no one comes within these 4 hours, we'll succeed." This was also the reason why she found someone to work with her. If she were to open this place by herself, it would take at least 14 to 16 hours. Attacking an array formation for 14 to 16 hours straight would definitely attract the attention of others. Ning Cheng shook his head, took out a handful of array flags and spoke, "If we continue to attack this place for 2 hours, I'm sure that someone will find this place. Let me do it." Saying that, Ning Cheng continuously threw out the array flags in his hands, and in just the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, a small crack appeared in front of Do-Di. Do-Di stared at Ning Cheng in utter shock. This concealment defensive array formation that she needed to find someone to break through, how could it be opened so easily? "Hurry up and go in. Someone is coming." Ning Cheng did not wait for Do-Di to ask anything, and went in first. Seeing this, Do-Di immediately rushed in. Ning Cheng put away the array flags, and the place once again returned to its original state. This defensive array formation was only effective against those who entered. When they exited, there was no need for him to continue breaking the array. "Brother Cheng, are you also a top-notch array formation master?" Do-Di finally could not help but ask. A top-notch array master was no simple character. Not only did the research on array formations consume a lot of time, but it also required a strong foundation. This foundation was the inheritance of array formations. If alchemy and smithing could be studied by oneself, then the Tao of arrays could only rely on inheritances and one's own comprehension. At most, one would be able to make some new breakthroughs under the original inheritance. Ning Cheng casually spoke up, "It's just that I occasionally studied it, so I'm not a top-notch array formation master. However, I've already seen the golden fetal flame beads you mentioned, and there are indeed a lot of them." A few kilometers in front of them, there was a small spring pool with some water in it. In the middle of the spring pool was a square platform with 5 or 6 golden fetal flame beads placed on it. Ning Cheng knew that in order to use the golden fetal flame bead to undergo nirvana, one would need the help of a top-notch spiritual spring. This spring pool must have been left behind by Taoist Crow for his nirvana flame. Moreover, this spring pool had undergone nirvana for Taoist Crow's flame, and even after such a long time, it had not dried up. From this, one could tell that this spring pool was also a good thing. Dodi immediately rushed over and raised her hand to grab 2 golden fetal flame beads before turning to Ning Qing and speaking. Brother Qing, you put in more effort to enter this place compared to me. I only want 2 golden fetal flame beads, and you can take the rest. I only need 1/3 of the spring pool. For her, 1/3 of the spring pool plus 2 golden fetal flame beads was more than enough for her flame to undergo nirvana. Ning Qing raised his hand and put away the other 4 golden fetal flame beads before casually speaking, I don't want the spring pool. You can take it. Ning Qing had carefully observed the spring pool and found that it was indeed a spiritual spring. If he wanted to use the golden fetal flame beads to undergo nirvana for his celestial river flame, this spring pool would not be enough. Besides, he could still find this kind of spiritual spring. Many thanks, Brother Qing. Dodi felt happy and quickly collected all the spring water in the spring pool. She also vaguely understood how Ning Qing found this place. The Crow Star was dry everywhere, without a single drop of water. Once water appeared, it would definitely be out of place. The other party must have felt the aura of water in this place and came looking for it. Since the other party could feel the aura of water, it meant that he was a cultivator with a water-based spiritual root. Moreover, he also had a high sensitivity towards water. When Dodi put away the things in this place, Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness had already swept around. This place was indeed the only place where Taoist Crow's flame underwent nirvana and did not contain anything else. What Dodi wanted the most was not Tao-confirming insights, but how to let her flame undergo nirvana. Now that she had obtained what she wanted, she truly felt grateful towards Ning Qing. But before she could say any more words of gratitude, the communication pearls in her and Ning Qing's hands lit up at the same time. It's Senior Apprentice Brother Warren and Senior Apprentice Sister Yuanxue. They found Taoist Crow's Tao-confirming immortal cave. Let's hurry over. Dodi rushed out as she spoke. Ning Qing also saw the message on the communication pearl. Although Yuanxue had found Taoist Crow's Tao-confirming immortal cave, there were too many people there. They simply couldn't cope with it. If they wanted a piece of the pie, they would have to join in. Seeing Dodi come out of the cave, Ning Qing quickly returned to the middle of the pool, put away the stone platform with the golden fetal flame bead, and threw it into his ring. His spiritual consciousness passed through the stone platform and found that the middle of the stone platform was empty, with a jade card and a jade strip inside. Ning Qing didn't know what these 2 things were, but since Taoist Crow had placed them inside the stone platform, they shouldn't be ordinary items. If Dodi had found them, he would have been the same as Dodi. But since Dodi hadn't found them, he naturally wouldn't hesitate to take them for himself. Ning Qing was only a few breaths slower than Dodi, but Dodi didn't care about it. In fact, even if Ning Qing took away the stone platform in front of her, Dodi wouldn't care. Maybe she knew that the stone platform contained a secret, but so what? She had chosen it first, and the stone platform was something she had discarded. Ning Qing and Dodi quickly found Yuanxue and the others. With Ning Qing and Dodi's arrival, their team of 5 had already gathered. But in this place, their team wasn't the strongest. In this quaint stone hall, more than 30 people had gathered. The strongest team had 6 people, all of whom were cultivators in the Heaven's Mandate realm. Ning Qing's team could only be regarded as average in this place. Moreover, there were many empty shelves in this stone hall. From these empty shelves, one could see that the things on the shelves had long since been carved up. In addition to that, there were 2 tightly closed array doors in the innermost part of this stone hall. Since the people here hadn't left, it meant that these 2 array doors had yet to open. Brother Cheng, Junior Apprentice Sister Do, you're here. This is the place where Taoist Crow reached the Tao-confirming realm. It's just that we're a bit weak right now. Senior Apprentice Brother Warren suffered some minor injuries while trying to snatch Taoist Crow's things. Seeing Ning Cheng and Do Di come over, Yuanxue explained in a low voice. Seeing Ning Cheng's gaze, Warren spoke up, "My injuries were caused by the team of 6 people. They all have Heaven's Mandate cultivation, and their strength is far stronger than ours. Let's not fight them head-on. At this time, we can only try our luck." Warren's tone turned somewhat helpless when he spoke about the words "try our luck." Previously, they had come to this place to try their luck. but now that they had found this place, it would be a battle of strength, not luck. He said those words because he knew that their team's strength was far inferior to the others. Everyone, we have more than 30 people here. If anyone dares to call their companions over, don't blame me, Mashiman, for being impolite. A burly man with a fierce-looking face stood up. When he spoke, his celestial essence vibrated so much that it hurt the eardrums of others. As this burly man spoke, he also shot a fierce glare at Ning Cheng's group. Apparently, he felt very dissatisfied with Yuan Xue calling Ning Cheng and Do Di over. However, Ning Cheng and Yuan Xue both had ordinary cultivations, so he did not put them in his eyes. This was a full-circle heavens mandate cultivator. Ning Cheng could tell from the celestial will behind this fellow that this fellow was definitely a powerhouse. Moreover, this fellow was a team of 6 heavens mandate cultivators. Not only was he strong, but the strength of his team was also strong. At this time, since he stood up and spoke, naturally, no one dared to be long-winded. Seeing that no one dared to stand up and refute him, the burly man with the fierce-looking face nodded with satisfaction and continued, "Since you want to find treasures, then it will depend on your luck. Currently, there are 2 array entrances here, and we have a total of 34 people here. I suggest that 17 people form a group and choose one of the array entrances. However, I will say the ugly words first. If you choose one of the array entrances, you can only enter that array entrance. Even if the things inside this array entrance do not satisfy you, you cannot enter the other array entrance. Otherwise, we will gang up on you and kill you." Ning Cheng sneered in his heart. He was an Imperial Array Master who could arrange Grade 6 Celestial River Array formations and could even use spiritual consciousness attacks. How could he not know about this burly man's tricks? Since there were 2 array entrances here, one of them must be fake. Chapter 645. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness had already sensed that the array formation on the right side was not right. The array formation entrance was very rough, and the array formation was also weaker than the one on the left side. Not only that, but Ning Cheng also felt that the celestial essence at the array foundation of the right array entrance was thinner than the celestial essence at the array foundation on the left array entrance. In other words, as long as one's array formation skills reached the king level, they would be able to detect that the array on the right was a confusion array, which meant that it was a fake array door. Not to mention someone with a king grade attainment in array formations, even a celestial array master with a stronger spiritual consciousness would be able to detect it. Does anyone object to my opinion? After Ma Shimin asked, he glanced around. No one stood up to answer. After all, Ma Shimin's plan was not outrageous. After entering these 2 array gates, no one knew which array gate would give them more treasures. Ma Shimin on seeing this immediately spoke up, that is to say, everyone agrees with my opinion. In that case, everyone can choose the left and right array gates. If there are more people in one of the gates, I will make arrangements. Although this Ma Shimin spoke in a fair and just manner, Ning Cheng knew that the other party would never choose the array entrance on the right. I'll go to the left. Let's go to the left as well. In just a short period of time, there were 11 people standing on the left, while there were only 3 people on the right. Yuan Xue suddenly sent a voice transmission over. Let's go to the left side. I'm a bit proficient in array formations. The array formations on the right side are too rough. It doesn't look like a place with treasures. Ning Cheng was also leaning towards the left, so he did not immediately speak. Seeing that no one spoke, Yuan Xue immediately spoke up, "The 5 of us will also go to the left." Just as Yuan Xue's voice fell, another person spoke up, "The 3 of us will also go to the left." Ma Shimin stood up and spoke with a stern tone, "Wait, everyone, don't follow the trend." Now that neither of the 2 array gates had been opened, no one knew which side had more treasures. Now that so many people had gone to the left, there were already more than 17 people there. In order to save everyone's time, Ma Shimin, will help everyone. With that, he pointed at those who had yet to make a choice and said loudly, "You, and the rest of you, go to the right." Still missing? Then the people on this side should go to the right as well. The 6 of us will go to the right as well. I don't believe that the treasures on the right won't be as good as those on the left. Ning Cheng felt disdain in his heart. This Ma Shimin was just too shameless. He had already arranged 12 people on the right. If he said that 6 of them were to go over, the people on his side would definitely stand up and object. Because including the 6 of them, there were 18 people on the right. Sure enough, just as Ma Shimin finished speaking, someone from his team spoke up, "Brother Shimin, it's not a problem for us to go to the right side. But this way, there will be 18 people on the right and 16 on the left." "Yes, I was foolish." Ma Shimin slapped his forehead and simply pointed to Ning Cheng's team and spoke, "The 5 of you go to the right side. That way, there are exactly 17 people on the right side. The rest of you go to the left side." Warren's expression changed, and he was about to step forward and say something. During the snatching, he had already been injured by Ma Shimin's hands, and now this guy was obviously trying to trick them. Just when Warren was about to stand up and speak, Ning Cheng stopped Warren and spoke with a sound transmission. "Brother Warren, I originally planned to go to the right side." Ning Cheng initially thought that the right side was a fake array entrance, but after his spiritual consciousness pierced through the rough and broken array formation on the right side, he unexpectedly saw a very complete high-grade defensive array. Even with his powerful spiritual consciousness and spiritual consciousness thorns, he could not penetrate this array formation in the slightest. Moreover, the array entrance on the left side did not have such a complete high-grade defensive array. Ning Cheng also understood that the reason why he could use his spiritual consciousness to penetrate the array entrance on the right side was not because his spiritual consciousness and attainments in array formations were too strong. Rather, it was because this array entrance had been here for many years and had long since become dilapidated. Otherwise, not to mention the people on their side, even if a top-grade array formation master came here, they might not necessarily be able to tell which array entrance was good or bad. However, after seeing this high-grade defensive array, Ning Cheng immediately changed his mind. Otherwise, even if he had to fight against Ma Shimin, he would not take the initiative to go to the array entrance on the right side. Yuan Xue felt helpless. She knew that if she forced herself to go to the left side, it might lead to a group attack. Ma Shimin spoke up in a loud voice. "Now that the people in the array entrances on both sides have been divided, let's start breaking the array. After entering the array entrance, everyone will have to rely on their own opportunities. If a cultivator from the array entrance on the right enters the array entrance on the left, anyone can kill him or her, and vice versa." The 34 cultivators quickly divided into 2 halves. The left side was obviously led by Ma Shimin's team, while the right side had no leader for the time being. Presumably seeing that no one was taking the lead, a tall man stood up and cupped his fists towards the crowd before speaking. "Friends, my name is Long Xiu. Our team has 4 people, and although I'm not that talented, I only know a little about array formations. Since the 17 of us are going to break this array formation together, then we need a leader." As Long Xiu spoke until here, he paused slightly. In his imagination, when he spoke until here, someone would definitely say, "In that case, Brother Long should take the lead and lead us to break the array formation together." However, the scene he imagined did not appear, so Long Xiu continued, "The people on the left side are already working together to attack the array entrance, while we haven't moved yet. Let me recommend myself and lead everyone to break this array entrance." Long Xiu's team of 4 had 3 Heaven's Mandate cultivators, 1 was an undead cultivator, and he himself was at the full circle of Heaven's Mandate realm. One could say that their strength on the surface was no worse than Ning Cheng's team, or even slightly stronger. Although no one echoed Long Xiu's words, after Long Xiu finished speaking, a few cultivators still stood up to support Long Xiu. Long Xiu then swept his gaze towards Ning Cheng's side. Ning Cheng's side had 5 people, 2 of which were Heaven's Mandate cultivators. Although their strength could only be regarded as average, they had a lot of people. Since Ning Cheng said that he wanted to go to the right side, Warren had always wanted to hear Ning Cheng's opinion. It's just that there were too many people here, so he couldn't ask too much. Ning Cheng saw Warren looking at him and immediately spoke up, "Let's go by ourselves, I'll lead the way." "I agree." Do Di was the first to stand behind Ning Cheng. Yuan Xue looked at Do Di in doubt. Do Di not only came with Ning Cheng, but also trusted Ning Cheng so much. It felt a little strange. According to her understanding of Do Di rarely spoke and rarely expressed her thoughts. She didn't know why she would support the newly joined Qing Yanqiong so directly. But these doubts only flashed past in a flash, and then she spoke up, "I also agree." Warren nodded and also had no opinion, while Oh Hongxin didn't speak much. "Friend, what do you mean? If you want to take the lead, as long as everyone agrees, I won't have any opinion." Long Xiu stared at Ning Cheng and spoke with a frown. Ning Cheng spoke up in a calm voice, "We don't know each other, so there's no need for us to gather together. The array entrance is right in front of us, and whoever finds it will belong to them. Could it be that after Friend Long leads the way, Friend Long doesn't want the things found by Friend Long and wants to share them all with us? How could there be such a thing?" Long Xiu retorted in anger. "In that case, isn't that the case? Let's go our separate ways." Ning Cheng finished and directly walked towards the array entrance on the right. Seeing Ning Cheng walk over, Warren, Yuan Xue and the others quickly followed behind. "Brother Cheng, are we going to attack?" Warren walked beside Ning Cheng. Seeing Ning Cheng's confident look, he quickly asked a question. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that Ning Cheng was not an ordinary person. But when it came to this decision, this elder brother Cheng seemed to have his own ideas. Warren even thought that even if he disagreed with this elder brother Cheng, this person wouldn't be swayed by him. Although it felt weird, he didn't feel disgusted by it. "No, we don't need to break this array formation. Everyone, look at the direction I'm going and then follow my footsteps." Ning Cheng spoke while grabbing a handful of array flags. After arriving at the array entrance, he threw out a few array flags, and a gap immediately appeared. Seeing Ning Cheng step into the gap, Warren and the others felt shocked and quickly followed after him. At this moment, the few of them understood that Ning Cheng not only understood array formations, but was also a powerful array formation master. This level of array formation definitely wasn't any less than a grade 5 array king. Long Xiu wanted to berate Ning Cheng, but the celestial wheels behind Ning Cheng were blurry and chaotic. Ning Cheng dared to act so rudely towards a full-circle Heaven's Mandate cultivator. However, in just a few breaths, Ning Cheng's group of 5 disappeared from the array entrance on the right. With Ning Cheng's group of 5 entering the array entrance, how could the others bear it? Who would want to stay here and listen to Long Xiu's nonsense? Everyone immediately rushed towards the array entrance. However, the gap that Ning Cheng's group had just entered once again closed, and they were directly blocked by the array entrance. Some of the more anxious cultivators had already brought out their weapons to attack the array entrance. At this time, who would care about Long Xiu? Everyone couldn't wait to bring out their weapons to attack the array entrance. If no one had gone in, everyone would have the same patience. But now that someone had gone in first, no one had the same patience as before. The cultivators attacking the array entrance on the left also felt shocked. They had initially thought that the real experts in the Tao of Array were on the left side. After all, as long as one was an expert in the Tao of Array, they would be able to see that the array entrance on the right side was a bit rough and had some problems. But now that Ning Cheng had led a few people into the array entrance on the right side, it showed that his attainments in the Tao of Array were much better than theirs. If such an expert in the Tao of Array went to the right side, did it mean that the right side had better things than the left side? Ning Cheng led Warren and the others through 7 or 8 turns. In just half an incense stick worth of time, they arrived at a narrow aisle paved with black bricks. Even if the few of them stood here, they could still vaguely hear the sounds of the attacking array formations outside. "Brother Cheng, I really didn't expect that you turned out to be an expert in the Tao of array formations. We are really lucky to be able to cooperate with you." Yuan Xue understood a bit about array formations. At this time, she could also see that there was a real grand array in front of this aisle. Warren also felt pleasantly surprised. Even if Do Di already knew that Ning Cheng was an expert in the Tao of array formations, she couldn't help but admire him in her heart. Ning Cheng cupped his fists and spoke, "Since we are all in a team, then we should take the benefits together. I believe that it wouldn't take long for others to break through that broken array formation. However, this array formation in front of us is the array entrance that we need to break through. If I didn't guess wrong, this array entrance is the real entrance with the treasures, while the one on the left is the accompanying array entrance. Even if there is something inside, it would be limited. Chapter 646. Warren cupped his fists and spoke. Brother Cheng, you are proficient in array formations. We will listen to you from now on. We'll do whatever you say. As soon as Warren spoke, Yuan Xue and the others also came up and expressed that they would listen to Ning Cheng. They heard the sounds outside getting louder and louder. Even if the cultivators outside didn't understand array formations, they should be able to break the array soon. Warren and the others were clearly worried that the cultivators outside might have already rushed in before they could break the array formation in front of them. Ning Cheng also did not speak any nonsense and directly spoke. Since that is the case, then I will not be polite. Everyone, look at the position where I throw the array flags. Once I throw the array flags, immediately concentrate your attacks. Although this array formation was somewhat broken, Ning Cheng knew that it would be impossible for him to break it open in a short time. If he wanted to enter the array door in the shortest time possible, he could only use force. With Ning Cheng dropping down one array flag after another, the 5 people's magical weapons all concentrated their attacks on the same spot. If Ning Cheng was alone, wanting to break open a crack in this array formation, it would have taken him at least half a day. Now that the 5 of them attacked at the same time, in just over 2 hours, a crack was blasted open. Ning Cheng was the first to rush in, and at the same time called out, "Hurry up, this array formation can automatically restore itself, it will soon be restored." There was simply no need for Ning Cheng to call out to them, as the other people had already flashed in. As soon as Ning Cheng passed through the array entrance, he immediately felt a rich celestial essence aura. The surrounding celestial essence aura was not much different from when he cultivated using perpetual moon pills. The only difference was that the celestial essence chi here was not as pure as perpetual moon pills. In front of him was still a black stone path, and there were many houses on both sides of the blue stone path. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness casually swept into a few rooms and found that they all contained something. They were either the tail feathers of the fire-wind crow, some Dao artifacts and some fire-type materials. There were even a few houses with the crimson crow fire seed. Warren and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. There were too many good things inside. However, the few of them immediately looked at Ning Cheng. After all, without Ning Cheng, they would not have been able to come in. Ning Cheng secretly nodded in his heart. If these people did not care about anything else, then he would not hesitate to snatch the most. With his spiritual sense and means, he could choose the best things in the shortest time. However, although these people's eyes were filled with desire and passion, they still did not muddle their heads and ask for the opinion of an undead cultivator. "Brother Cheng, you're the one who brought everyone here. I'll stand by my words. Whatever you say, we'll do it." Warren was still the first to speak. He did not care about Ning Cheng's feelings just because Ning Cheng's cultivation was slightly lower. Ning Cheng nodded. The array entrance on the left side is definitely a fake. Although the cultivators on the left side put it nicely, once they go in and do not obtain anything, they would definitely come here to snatch it. Therefore, we need to snatch the things here as fast as possible. Everyone, let's move out. Whoever gets it can keep it. All right. The few of them were very satisfied with Ning Cheng's words, and felt that this cultivator who had temporarily decided to cooperate with them was a very magnanimous person. Warren and the others quickly selected their target and rushed over, quickly entering the room they had already chosen. Ning Cheng did not enter any of the rooms but disappeared into the distance of the black stone path. There was also a spiritual consciousness restriction in this place. Therefore, Warren and the others' spiritual consciousness could only sweep out less than a kilometer. However, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness could see the end of this black stone path. At the end of this black path, there was also a door. This folding fan door looked much thicker than the doors of the rooms next to it. Moreover, the door exuded an ancient aura of vicissitudes. Ning Cheng felt sure that this door contained the real good stuff. If Warren and the others wanted to take things for themselves, Ning Cheng would not hesitate to sweep away most of the rooms in front of him. At the same time, he would also not give up the things in the hall at the end to others. But now that Warren and the others had a strong sense of loyalty, Ning Cheng simply gave up the rooms on the outside to the four of them while he went to the innermost door. Standing in front of the door, Ning Cheng immediately understood that this door was not something he could open with his ability. Unless he had the ability to destroy planets. Even if he had the ability to destroy planets, he might not be able to get the things inside the door. The defensive array around this door had already exceeded the scope of breaking it with brute force. Moreover, the defensive array was not damaged at all. Not only that, but Ning Cheng could not even recognize the material used to construct the door. However, at the corner of the door, there was a place for embedding a jade card. Presumably, this place was the key to opening the door. Ning Cheng raised his hand and took out the stone platform that he had collected before. With a shake of his hand, the stone platform immediately broke apart, and a jade strip and a jade card fell into Ning Cheng's hands. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept into the jade strip and found that it contained a method of flame nirvana. Ning Cheng did not care about it and threw the jade strip into his ring. At the same time, he embedded the jade card into the groove of the door. Initially, Ning Cheng was not sure if this jade card was the thing to open the door. But after he embedded the jade card into the groove, the door gave out a squeaking sound, and a gap slowly opened. Ning Cheng immediately knew that he had done the right thing. Sure enough, this was the jade card to open the door. Ning Cheng raised his hand and grabbed the falling jade card before flashing through the door. After Ning Cheng entered the door, it once again slowly closed. What came into sight was a hall with a huge pill pond in the middle of it. Ning Cheng was too familiar with this kind of pill pond. He had seen such a pill pond in the Time Wilderness. Back then, this pill pond had been filled with perpetual moon pills, and he had obtained nearly half of them. However, this pill pond was several times larger than the pill pond in the Time Wilderness. Unfortunately, the pill pond was dry, without a single medicinal pill in it. Bypassing the pill pond, Ning Cheng saw an altar. Ning Cheng walked up to the altar and saw a line of words carved on it. Those who want my mantle must be a disciple of the demon sect. Drip a drop of blood in worship. If recognized, you can obtain my mantle. Otherwise, all shall perish. Ning Cheng felt speechless. It was just an inheritance, yet it required a drop of blood from a demon cultivator. He had no choice but to call out Chasing Bull and point to the altar. Chasing Bull, your chance has come. Taoist Crow wants you to drop a drop of blood to obtain the treasure. Master, leave it to me. This old bull is the best at this. Chasing Bull forced a drop of blood onto the altar as it spoke. Ning Cheng believed that Chasing Bull's blood would meet the requirements. If the wind-seeking Heavenly Bull's blood didn't work, then this old crow's requirements were too high. Sure enough, in just a few breaths, a red glow emerged around the altar, and a moment later, a flickering shadow appeared in front of Chasing Bull and Ning Cheng. The flickering shadow stared at Ning Cheng and spoke with a cold voice. You're just a human cultivator, yet you dare to covet my Taoist crow's things. Ning Cheng cupped his fists and spoke in a tone that was neither overbearing nor humble. As a starry sky cultivator, or a Tao-confirming cultivator, you still care about the difference between human and demonic cultivators. I really wonder how you managed to reach Tao-confirming. All living beings are equal. When the heavens and earth split apart, who knew if they were human or demonic? What a pity! The flickering shadow remained silent for a long time. Ignoring the matter of Ning Cheng being a human cultivator, it spoke up. Since you want to inherit my mantle, you must help me find this. After that, bring back the fire origin bead, as well as everything within 5 kilometers of the fire origin bead. Ning Cheng and Chasing Bull both understood what Taoist Crow meant, and Ning Cheng naturally would not agree. Chasing Bull quickly spoke up, as long as this old bull obtains those things, I will definitely bring them back to you. How could the flickering shadow not understand Ning Cheng and Chasing Bull's tricks? It gave out a sigh and didn't say anything. After just a breath, the flickering shadow dissipated. Immediately after, a ring appeared over the altar, indicating that it had acquiesced to this matter. Master, that Taoist Crow was left speechless by what you said. He doesn't even know that all living beings are equal, hee hee. Chasing Bull quickly tried to flatter Ning Cheng from the side. Ning Cheng shook his head. No, he should have realized that he couldn't do anything to us now. That's why he retreated. Ning Cheng had spoken nonsense just now. As for the all living beings are equal, and what not, it was all nonsense. If Taoist Crow could be so easily deceived, he wouldn't have become a Tao-confirming cultivator. He should have retreated out of desperation. Ning Cheng raised his hand and grabbed the ring, before sweeping his spiritual consciousness inside. The ring didn't have any restrictions, and Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness also didn't feel any obstruction. When Ning Cheng saw what you left behind, he felt completely shocked. Ning Cheng couldn't help but admire Taoist Crow's wealth. This was just an inheritance. There was a pile of cultivation method jade strips, followed by a pile of medicinal pills sealed with restrictions, followed by weapons, followed by a pile of top-grade fiery wind crow tail feathers, each of which was something that couldn't be bought with money. 3 of the scarlet crow flames were sealed. Ning Cheng casually glanced at the 3 scarlet crow flames and realized that they were of a much higher quality compared to the scarlet crow flames he had seen before. What surprised Ning Cheng the most was the pile of perpetual moon pills. When the pill pond dried up, Ning Cheng felt a little disappointed. He didn't expect to find a pile of perpetual moon pills here. Ning Cheng estimated that there were at least 10 million perpetual moon pills in this place. No wonder there weren't any perpetual moon pills outside. This old crow must have collected all of them. Ning Cheng didn't see any permanent essence pills, which made him feel normal. With Taoist Crow's cultivation, perpetual moon pills might not have much of an effect on him. However, permanent essence pills definitely had an effect on him. Since it was something beneficial to him, he naturally wouldn't leave it to an inheritance disciple he had never seen before. Ning Cheng had just put away the ring when the altar cracked open. In the middle of the cracked altar, there was a line of words. My biggest enemy in life is Baiziding. The one who inherits my mantle will become your strongest enemy in the future. Before reaching Tao confirming, you will never be this person's opponent. Remember this. The jade card that opens this door contains my Tao confirming comprehension. Hearing that the jade card contained the Tao confirming comprehension, Ning Cheng immediately swept his spiritual consciousness into the jade card. Apart from the material of the jade token, he could see nothing else. Ning Cheng held onto the jade card in a daze. How could he give this Tao confirming comprehension to the others? If he had to divide it, there was only one jade card. Who should he give it to? After sweeping through the hall with his spiritual consciousness and confirming that there was nothing else, Ning Cheng let Chasing Bull enter the true spirit world before opening the door again. Chapter 647. Ning Cheng had just opened the door when a staggering figure rushed over. Dodi? How did you? Ning Cheng did not ask any further, as he had already seen it with his spiritual consciousness. The array door that they had entered through had already been blasted open. Other than the 12 people on the right, the 17 people on the left had also rushed in. Warren and Yu Wanshue were paralyzed on the ground, their bodies covered in blood. Warren's arm and half of his leg were no longer on his body. Yu Wanshue also lost an arm. From the aura of the 2 people, Ning Cheng could see that the 2 of them were seriously injured, even to the point that their Zifu was injured. As for the other person in their team, Oh Hongxin, Ning Cheng simply did not see him. Ma Shimin, who had gone to the left, held a ring in his hand. Ning Cheng took a look at the ring and realized that it belonged to Yu Wanshue. Brother Cheng, those people came in and besieged the few of us. Senior apprentice Brother Warren and Senior apprentice Sister Wanshue both suffered severe injuries, while Senior apprentice Brother Oh Hongxin died. Do Di spoke up anxiously on seeing Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng nodded. Let's go and have a look. You can't go there. Do Di stopped after saying a few words. So what if she couldn't go there? He could still come over. Good lad, I couldn't see through you. Even proficient in array formations, knowing that the true array door is on the right. As soon as Ning Cheng arrived, Ma Shimin spoke up with a sneer. Warren, who was paralyzed on the ground, stared at Ma Shimin in anger. Ma Shimin, do you still have any face? We agreed that we would each pick a side, but now you're so shameless, coming to the right array door. Yuan Xue also looked at Ning Cheng in despair but did not speak. Her arm was broken, but with her current cultivation, it was not difficult for her to regrow an arm. But with Ma Shimin and the others here, she might not even be able to keep her life, let alone talk about regrowing her arm? Senior apprentice brother Cheng, senior apprentice brother Oh Hongxin's things were not only robbed, he was also killed by them, not even sparing the corporeal body and life essence. Dou Di stood beside Ning Cheng and stared at Ma Shimin with hatred. Even though she said so, she knew very well that it would be extremely difficult for her to leave this place today. Oh Hongxin did not speak anything. As such, Ning Cheng felt that this person was somewhat shrewd. As such, he was also somewhat wary of him. Unexpectedly, just as he entered this place and made a small fortune, he was killed by Ma Shimin. In any case, everyone was a team. As such, Ning Cheng's heart immediately surged with a murderous intent. Ning Cheng could guess that if Warren and Yuan Xue weren't late-stage Heaven's Mandate cultivators, they would have most likely died under Ma Shimin's hands, just like Oh Hongxin. On the other hand, Dou Di, the female cultivator with the lowest cultivation, was able to escape for a while. From this, it could be seen that Dou Di was not a simple character. You are indeed shameless. Are your words bullshit? You obviously went to the left. Why did you come to the right? Ning Cheng looked at Ma Shimin coldly. Ma Shimin's eyes flashed with a trace of fierceness before he took a step forward and spoke. Yes, that's what I said, but Long Xiu on the right invited us over, which is obviously not within the scope of the rules. Since you've invited me to help, I'm sorry if I don't lend a hand. Otherwise, I definitely wouldn't have come over. But I only found out when I came here that the 5 of you wanted to eat it all for yourselves. Such an excessive thing, Ma Shimin, cannot put up with it. No one stood up to speak up for Ning Cheng, and Ning Cheng also understood what was going on. First, as Ma Shimin said, the 5 of them wanted to eat it all for themselves. Second, Ma Shimin and the others were just too strong. Ning Cheng sneered, Long Xiu is bullshit? He can only represent himself. Since when can he represent everyone on the right? At least, I can't represent him. You're looking for death. Long Xiu came a step too late and didn't get anything, which made him feel depressed in his heart. Now Ning Cheng, a puny cultivator in the undead realm, dared to ridicule him as bullshit. If this wasn't courting death, then what was? After these 3 words came out, he immediately brought out his 9 underworld hook, which brought out a pale white light. Ning Cheng already knew that today's matter would not end well if he didn't make a move. What's more, he had no intention of letting Ma Shimin go. Almost at the same time that Long Xiu brought out his 9 underworld hook, Ning Cheng also brought out an ordinary middle-grade Dao artifact long spear and took a step forward. A powerful domain's imposing aura pressed down, and Long Xiu suddenly felt an illusion. He felt that he was not facing an undead cultivator, but a cultivator in the Heaven's Mandate realm. The powerful domain completely crushed his domain, making him feel uncomfortable. The next moment, a sense of crisis rose from the bottom of his heart. This fellow isn't an undead cultivator. Long Xiu instantly came up with the answer. At this time, Ning Cheng's domain completely suppressed him, giving him no room to retreat at all. In a panic, Long Xiu crazily stimulated 100% of his celestial essence, causing the 9 underworld hook's pale light to turn even sharper. From a distance, if an ordinary person got swept up by this 9 underworld hook's pale light, only death awaited them. However, Ning Cheng was not an ordinary person. His domain instantly tore through Long Xiu's domain. At the same time that Long Xiu's domain shattered, the long spear in his hand shot out spear shadows that covered up Long Xiu's 9 underworld hook's pale light. A scorching spear light that directly pierced through the space arrived in front of him. Long Xiu could only feel the light around his 9 nether hooks dissipating inch by inch, just like ice and snow meeting the scorching sun. In just 2 breaths of time, he saw endless spear radiance sweeping over, and his 9 nether hooks were completely submerged. This was not on the same level at all. Long Xiu's heart and soul felt like it was splitting apart, and he cried out anxiously, "Senior, please spare me." Ning Cheng's void flame-patterned spear even covered his voice, making it impossible for him to make even the slightest sound. Long Xiu felt a burst of regret in his heart. Since Ma Shimin wanted to come, why should he speak up for Ma Shimin? It really wasn't a good thing to stand out. It's just that his thoughts could only stop here. The next moment, his whole body alternated between hot and cold, and the flame-patterned spear shadows passed through his body, tearing him to pieces. Even his soul essence could not escape. Pada! Long Xiu's broken body slumped to the ground, and the 9 underworld hook in his hand also fell to the side. The surrounding cultivators remained silent. Since Ning Cheng could lead the way to this place, then he must have some skills. However, no one thought that Ning Cheng could beat Long Xiu. The celestial wheels behind Ning Cheng were blurry, which meant that he was at most an undead cultivator. Moreover, Long Xiu was a veteran full-circle heavens mandate cultivator. Under such a comparison, Ning Cheng definitely was not an opponent. However, the reality was beyond everyone's expectations. Not only did Long Xiu lose, but he also couldn't even last a single exchange. Some of the cultivators standing close to Ning Cheng subconsciously retreated, and their eyes turned into fear as they looked at Ning Cheng. Some even thought that Ning Cheng was not a cultivator in the Celestial River's 3 realms, but someone who had surpassed the Celestial River's 3 realms and reached the heaven-seated realm. Ma Shimin also felt shocked by Ning Cheng's actions. He also took a step back, and at the same time, a 3-gate segment appeared in his hand. The 3-gate segment was a very strange weapon and very difficult to refine. It required an artifact crafting master to have a strong understanding of array formations. On the surface, this weapon looked no different from an ordinary long stick. However, this weapon had 3 hidden doors, namely the Morning Gate, the Soul Gate, and the Death Gate. When fighting against an opponent, as long as the opponent was locked by any one of these doors, they would end up as a dead soul under the 3-gate segment. Ning Cheng, who had refined the 3-gate segment before, knew that this weapon was not simple. However, he did not put it in his eyes. He could refine the 3-gate segment himself, so why would he fear a trivial weapon? To put it in an arrogant manner, the 3-gate segment was just a stick to burn in his eyes. Brother Qing. Warren and Yuan Xue, who stood on the side, called out in surprise. Ning Cheng's strength had far exceeded their expectations. No wonder this person dared to team up with them. With such powerful skills, if he had any ill intentions, he would have been the first to die. Ning Cheng nodded to the 2 of them, raised his hand and grabbed Long Xiu's ring, and then said to Do Di, Junior Apprentice Sister Do, go help Brother Warren and Senior Apprentice Sister Yu get back their severed limbs. Do them a favor. Warren and Yuan Xue's severed arms and legs were only cut off and not destroyed. Otherwise, even if an undead cultivator could regrow a severed limb, it would still require some high-level spiritual grasses and treasures to do so. Moreover, after regrowing a severed limb, one's strength would drop significantly, requiring many years of cultivation before they could recover. Yes, Senior Apprentice Brother Cheng. Do Di quickly went to help. If it were before Ning Cheng killed Long Xiu, someone would have already come up to stop Do Di. But now, no one dared to step forward to stop Do Di. Did you kill our team's Oh Hongxin just now? Ning Cheng held the long spear and slowly walked towards Ma Shimin. Ma Shimin subconsciously took 2 steps back, but then felt that he shouldn't have stepped back. He immediately stood still and spoke, Yes, it was your Grandpa Ma who killed him. The few people in his team all knew about Ning Cheng's strength and stepped forward at the same time. The 6 people then formed a semicircle around Ning Cheng. Because of their fear of Ning Cheng, although the 6 people surrounded Ning Cheng in a semicircle, no one took the initiative to attack. Ma Shimin still didn't feel reassured and tried to persuade the rest of the cultivators, let's go together. I don't know how many good things this person obtained inside. Once we kill this person, we can divide the things inside equally. Ning Cheng didn't rush to attack. He also glanced at the surrounding cultivators. When Ning Cheng's gaze swept over the several cultivators who were eager to give it a try, they felt a chill run down their spines and immediately dispelled the idea of attacking. Ning Cheng's cultivation had not been exposed yet. From how he killed Long Xiu with a single move and treated Ma Shimin so calmly, who knew if he was a heaven-seated powerhouse or not? Do Di, you take Brother Warren and Senior Apprentice Sister Yu out first. I'll take out the ring later. Ning Qing turned to Do Di and spoke. Do Di picked up Warren and Yuan Xue without hesitation and squeezed out of the crowd. Although Do Di squeezed out of the crowd, no one stood up to stop her. Even Ma Shimin and the others did not try to stop her. They all focused all their attention on Ning Qing. After Do Di and the other two went out, Ning Qing calmly looked at the more than 20 people in front of him and spoke with an indifferent voice. From now on, I will count to 5. Those who stay here will fight me, and I will not show any mercy. Those who step out are those who don't want to become enemies with me. After Ning Qing finished, he did not wait for the people around him to speak and directly counted, 5, 4, 3. Ning Qing's counting speed was not slow, and he counted every breath. Chapter 648. By the time Ning Qing counted to 3, more than a dozen people had already left the Black Stone Road. By the time Ning Qing counted to 1, there were still 14 people left. Except for the 2 cultivators who originally came from the array entrance on the right, the other 12 people came from the array entrance on the left. Among them, the 6 people from Ma Shimin's team were all here. Let's go. I don't believe that an undead cultivator can block the siege of 14 Heaven's Mandate powerhouses. Ma Shimin shouted and brought out the 3-gate segment in his hand. He was right, all 14 people here were Heaven's Mandate cultivators. When Ma Shimin made his move, the other 13 people immediately brought out their weapons and attacked Ning Qing almost at the same time. But what puzzled Ma Shimin and the others was that Ning Qing did not fight back and instead brought out a vague blue thunder city. It was called a thunder city because this vague blue thunder city had electric arcs lingering around it, just like silver snakes dancing in the wind. Boom boom boom. One after another, the weapons aimed at Ning Qing slammed into Ning Qing's thunder city. Although these Heaven's Mandate cultivators could not break through Ning Qing's blue thunder city, and they also did not use their full strength, the powerful attacks still blasted Ning Qing away. Ning Qing, along with the thunder city, was indeed blasted away, but looking at it carefully, it seemed as if he had intentionally landed at the entrance of the array entrance. Seeing Ning Qing in such a weak state, some of the cultivators who went out felt some regret, and some even wanted to come in and besiege Ning Qing again. The reason why they went out was that they worried that Ning Qing was a heaven-seated cultivator. But now, it seemed that Ning Qing was not a heaven-seated cultivator. Not waiting for these cultivators to think about it, Ning Qing took out a handful of array flags and threw them out. In just a few breaths, the cultivator's vision and spiritual consciousness outside were completely isolated. That Thunder City is definitely a spirit artifact. Everyone, let's go. Seeing Ning Qing's Blue Thunder City easily block the joint attack of more than a dozen heaven-seated experts, Ma Shimin's eyes lit up and he shouted out. In fact, there was no need for Ma Shimin's reminder. Everyone knew that the Blue Thunder City that Ning Qing had brought out was not a simple thing, and almost unanimously attacked Ning Qing again. However, no one brought out a 100% killing move to attack Ning Qing. After all, Ning Qing was only a single person. After killing Ning Qing, everyone would definitely try to snatch the resources. At that time, it would be the time to see the real deal. Therefore, they had to preserve their strength so that they wouldn't be left with nothing and end up benefiting others instead. This time, Ning Qing did not get blown away like before. Instead, he rushed into the encirclement of the cultivators with the help of the everlasting Blue Thunder City, while simultaneously sending out 6 spiritual consciousness blades. In fact, he could have shot out more spiritual consciousness blades, but to not waste too much of his spiritual consciousness and celestial essence, he only shot out 6 blade attacks. These 6 blade attacks only targeted 6 weaker cultivators. As soon as the spiritual consciousness blades shot out, the defensive capabilities of Ning City's Blue Thunder Fort dropped significantly. In just a few breaths of time, a gotcha sound rang out, and the Thunder City's shadow disappeared without a trace. After all, the everlasting Blue Thunder City was still a treasure without an artifact spirit. Once Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness could no longer support it, the defensive shadow would immediately shatter. Bang bang bang. The Thunder City's shadow shattered, and the 6 weapons all exploded onto Ning Qing's body. Ma Shimin's three gate joints even directly locked onto Ning Cheng's life essence, at least from Ma Shimin's point of view. He can't hold on, I've locked his life essence. Ma Shimin called out in surprise, but before he could finish his words, he felt something wrong. His three gate joints clearly locked onto Ning Cheng's life essence, but he couldn't control Ning Cheng's life essence at all. Something's wrong. Ma Shimin had just spoken 2 words when he felt the space around him collapsing. In the middle of the collapse of the void, there were countless terrifying flames sweeping over. If he didn't retreat quickly, the collapsed void would engulf him, and then the flames would completely burn him to ashes. However, this collapsing void made it impossible for him to retreat, as if it wanted to forcibly pull him in. Ma Shimin's soul almost flew out of his body. Was this a law of space spirit technique? He didn't have time to think about it and madly burned his essence blood to retreat. All the cultivators had the same thoughts as Ma Shimin. Although all of their previous attacks had landed on Ning Cheng's body, once one fell into this kind of collapse, it would only result in death. 8 cultivators rushed out of Ning Cheng's maximal flame spiritual technique, while the other 6 cultivators were swept into the maximal flame spiritual technique, resulting in an earth-shattering explosion. The 6 cultivators, who were swept up by the maximal flame spiritual technique, also wanted to retreat. However, their sea of consciousness had been inexplicably slashed by a blade. The tearing pain made them unable to do anything, nor did they have the ability to retreat. Maybe if they were given a breath of time, they would be able to recover and rush out. However, Ning Cheng would never give them this breath of time. Boom boom. The maximal flame spiritual technique's center rolled up a blazing flame, and a few screams erupted. Ning Cheng and the 8 surviving cultivators were forced to retreat. Ning Cheng's body was covered in wounds, making him look badly mutilated and terrifying. However, Ning Cheng knew that none of the wounds on his body were fatal. Ma Shimin and the other 7 cultivators also stopped at this moment. Although they did not suffer any injuries, each of them had paid a price to withdraw from the center of the vortex created by the maximal flame spiritual technique. Ning Cheng stood opposite the 8 people, with the huge gully created by the maximal flame spiritual technique in the middle. After a face-to-face confrontation, the 2 sides faced each other across the gully. The only difference was that Ma Shimin's side now had 8 people instead of 14. This person turned out to be a body-forging cultivator after undergoing nirvana. A Heaven's Mandate cultivator standing next to Ma Shimin spoke with a bit of fear in his eyes. If an ordinary cultivator were hit by 8 Heaven's Mandate cultivators at the same time, even if they did not die, their corporeal body would have already collapsed. However, this cultivator in front of them only had bloodstains all over his body. Although he looked badly injured, he did not suffer any serious injuries at all. If this was not a body-forging cultivator, then what was it? What was even more frightening to them was that Ning Cheng had used something similar to a space-related spirit technique. Ma Shimin had already calmed down from the panic caused by the 3 Gates festival and spoke up in a deep voice, "We don't have to worry about it at all." What this person used just now was not a space-related spirit technique, but an instantaneous absorption of the fire elements in the surrounding space, creating a fake spatial collapse. Let's go together now. He can only use this spirit technique once at most. Even if he uses it again, we would still be prepared for it. Ma Shimin's words were right. What Ning Cheng used was not the real maximal flame spiritual technique, but a fake spatial collapse. When Ning Cheng used it again, they would have been prepared for it and would have been able to avoid Ning Cheng's maximal flame spiritual technique in time, without the need to burn their essence blood. However, he was wrong about one thing. Even if Ning Cheng used the maximal flame spiritual technique 5 or 6 times, it would not have any effect. He did not know how powerful Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness was. Let's go together. Although the 8 people felt fear towards Ning Cheng, they still crossed the gully and rushed towards Ning Cheng. This time, no one held back. They had already understood that Ning Cheng was not an ordinary cultivator, but a powerhouse among powerhouses. Ning Cheng did not back down at all. Instead, he rushed towards the 8 cultivators in the Heaven's Mandate realm. He completely ignored the incoming attacks from the magic weapons and domains. The long spear in his hand drew out 8 ordinary spear traces before stabbing out. This was the moment he had been waiting for. The 8 cultivators attacking Ning Cheng, including Ma Shimin, felt puzzled. Ning Cheng's maximal flame spiritual technique could be said to have caught them off guard. Moreover, it also contained astonishing power. So why did he only send out 8 simple spear lights? If 8 spear shadows could hurt them, then all the years of cultivation in Heaven's Mandate realm would have been in vain. The celestial essence of the 8 people gathered together at this moment. Even if Ning Cheng's celestial river domain was powerful, it could not stop the joint attack of these 8 people. The celestial river domain started to shatter inch by inch, as if it would turn into nothingness in the next moment. Ma Shimin's 3 Gates festival even produced a soul-sucking sound. Cultivators with slightly weaker souls might even end up sucked away by the 3 Gates festival. Seeing Ning Cheng's celestial river domain shattering, and Ning Cheng about to turn into slag under the attacks of the 8 people, Ma Shimin felt ecstatic in his heart. With celestial essence stimulated to such an extent, even if Ning Cheng had the ability to reach the heavens, he would not be able to reverse the situation. Not only did Ma Shimin feel ecstatic, but the other 7 cultivators also felt ecstatic. They also did not expect that such a powerful opponent from before would lose his level this time. From the looks of it, a bitter battle was unnecessary. In this case, even a heaven-seated cultivator would have to face it head-on. Even a heaven-seated cultivator would suffer heavy injuries if he had to face the attacks of 8 people alone. At this moment, the 8 cultivators attacking Ning Cheng suddenly felt that their attacks seemed to have slowed down. Then they started to slow down and finally stopped. Ning Cheng's spear light that pierced towards them turned into a beautiful sunset, which made them not have the heart to continue thinking about killing Ning Cheng. They just wanted to immerse themselves in this beautiful sunset glow. Ma Shimin was the first to sober up and roared in his heart. No, this is not a sunset, this is not a sunset. This is a lore-related spirit technique. Moreover, it is the most difficult law to comprehend, the laws of time. How could a cultivator in the undead realm comprehend the laws of time? It was absolutely impossible. However, everything in front of him had come to a standstill. No, there was still something that had not come to a standstill. It was the 8 spear shadows within their powerful attacks. Ning Cheng had racked his brains to completely cover up this place, all for the sake of this sunset's twilight. 14 people, he did not have the confidence to kill them all at once. However, he could first use the spiritual consciousness thorn and the maximal flame spirit technique to kill 6 of them. As for the remaining 8, he believed that he could kill them all with his sunset's twilight. It turned out that Ning Cheng was not wrong. Facing his sunset's twilight, the 8 cultivators in the Heaven's Mandate realm reacted with only endless fear in their eyes. None of them could break free from his sunset's twilight in an instant. In despair, they could only accept their fate. This was the difference between Heaven's Mandate cultivators and Heaven-seated cultivators. Heaven-seated cultivators could break free from Ning Cheng Sunset's twilight in despair. However, Heaven's Mandate cultivators' state of mind, celestial essence, and spiritual consciousness were far inferior to Ning Cheng. Therefore, under this beautiful despair, they could only accept their fate. Instead of putting up a last-ditch struggle, it was better to enjoy the beautiful sunset before death. For cultivators who were about to lose their lives, even a moment felt like a long time. But for Ning Cheng Sunset's twilight, a moment felt like a short moment. The 8 spear shadows pierced through the glabella of the 8 cultivators in an instant, bringing out 8 arrows of blood. Laws of time, I understand. Ma Shimin fell into the huge gully in the middle and spoke up in despair. No one knew what he understood. Chapter 649. The shielding array formation arranged by Ning Cheng was not very sophisticated. When the cultivators outside heard the sounds of fighting coming from within the shielding array, some of them even wanted to break through the shielding array. Before, they came out because they feared that Ning Cheng might be a Heaven's Mandate cultivator. But now that they wanted to go in, they feared that the people inside would kill Ning Cheng, leaving them with nothing. Warren and Yuan Xue were seriously injured, while Dodi's strength was too weak to stop them. They could only watch as the cultivators in front of Ning Cheng's shielding array eagerly tried. At this moment, the shielding array suddenly opened, and Ning Cheng appeared in front of everyone. The people outside immediately swept their gazes and spiritual consciousness inside, but no one came out except for Ning Cheng. Of the 14 people who stayed inside, none came out with Ning Cheng. Apart from a huge gully behind Ning Cheng, there was nothing else. At this moment, all the cultivators turned silent. A moment ago, there had been such a big fight inside, and now Ning Cheng came out alone. Even a fool could guess that the cultivator in front of them had killed the other 14 people. Thinking about how Ning Cheng killed Long Xiu with a single move, and now killed 14 people, almost everyone here guessed that Ning Cheng was a heaven-seated cultivator. The two cultivators standing in front of the shielding array formation arranged by Ning Cheng immediately turned silent when they saw Ning Cheng, and even started to tremble. When Ning Cheng's gaze swept over them, they immediately called out in a trembling voice, "Say, Senior. Get lost." Ning Cheng scolded. The two cultivators in Heaven's Mandate realm did not dare to speak even half a word of nonsense. They quickly bowed and quickly retreated from this place. Ning Cheng had killed 14 cultivators in Heaven's Mandate realm, and now no one could even see any scars on his body. Who would dare to stay here? As the two cultivators retreated, the rest of the cultivators also bowed to Ning Cheng before retreating. In just a few breaths, only Ning Cheng's group of 4 remained. Only Ning Cheng knew that he could kill 14 cultivators mainly because of his powerful starry skies sea of consciousness and sunset's twilight. Moreover, this was based on the fact that the other cultivators did not know about his laws of time-related spirit techniques. Once others knew about his means and attacked him in batches, he would not dare to fight back. Senior. Warren and Yuan Xue also stepped forward and cupped their fists towards Ning Cheng. Although Ning Cheng had teamed up with them, they didn't know that Ning Cheng was a heaven-seated cultivator. In their view, Ning Cheng most likely was a heaven-seated cultivator. Otherwise, facing the siege of 14 Heaven's Mandate cultivators, only death awaited him. Ning Cheng took out 2 medicinal pills and gave them to Warren and Yuan Xue. He then returned Warren and Yuan Xue's rings to the 2 of them and said, "We're teammates, so don't call us seniors. These 2 medicinal pills can help you recover from your injuries quickly. As for Taoist Crow's Tao confirming comprehension, although I managed to obtain it, it cannot be engraved, nor can it be expressed in words or images. You may take a look." As Ning Cheng spoke, he had already taken out the jade card. Despite Ning Cheng's sincerity, Warren and Yuan Xue didn't dare to take it. They quickly swallowed the medicinal pills and bowed to Ning Cheng. "Many thanks for Senior's life-saving grace. Since this Tao-confirming insight can't be replicated, it's best to leave it with Senior." Ning Cheng sighed in his heart. He knew that this was something that could not be helped. The disparity in their cultivations made it impossible for them to get along with each other as equals. After all, they were not familiar with each other and had only met each other along the way. In that case, let's say our goodbyes here. See you later. Ning Cheng also cupped his fists and spoke. It was unlikely that they would continue to walk together. Besides, Ning Cheng still had things to do and would not continue to team up with Warren and the others. He still felt grateful towards Warren and the others. If not for Warren and the others, he would not have obtained so many cultivation resources. After separating from Warren and the other 2, Ning Cheng quickly left the Crow Star. There might be other good things in the Crow Star, but Ning Cheng no longer had any interest in it. He wondered if he did not need to leave this planar interface. Now that he had so many perpetual moon pills, he could just find a place to continue his seclusion. Wait! Ning Cheng had just flown out of the Crow Star when 2 cultivators stopped him. As soon as Ning Cheng stopped, one of the cultivators called out in surprise, "It's him, do it." The 2 cultivators did not wait for Ning Cheng to speak before bringing out their weapons and rushing towards Ning Cheng. These were just 2 cultivators in the undead realm. Ning Cheng's celestial river domain crushed down, and a single nothingness flame-patterned spear instantly killed the 2 of them. Although it was an instant kill, Ning Cheng did not feel even half a shred of joy from crushing his opponents. These 2 cultivators had attacked him as soon as they saw him, as if they had known him for a long time. In fact, it was his first time seeing these two people. Two cultivators who did not know him suddenly attacked him with excited expressions on their faces. Ning Qing only had to think about it a little to understand that someone had issued a wanted order for him and had even promised him great benefits. For someone to issue a wanted order for him at this time, apart from the pale-faced cultivator who knew about the mysterious yellow bead, there was no one else. In a place like the ancient Desolace abandoned land, any two people could recognize him, which showed that the scope of this wanted order was not small. Ning Qing no longer felt lucky. He stimulated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds and quickly disappeared. Changing his direction slightly, he still rushed towards the Moon Spirit Marsh. If he continued to stay here, he would have to find a place to hide. For Ning Qing, finding a place to hide was not a bad idea. However, he did not want to take the risk. That pale-faced cultivator was too powerful. Not only did he have powerful cultivation, but he also had powerful means. Ning Qing had just arrived at the ancient Desolace abandoned land when someone recognized him. From this, it could be seen that if it were any other place, someone would have already stopped him. Ning Qing rushed towards the Moon Spirit Marsh at full speed, while a pale-faced cultivator quickly approached the ancient Desolace abandoned land. The moment he learned that Ning Qing's figure appeared in the ancient Desolace abandoned land, he immediately rushed over. In front of the mysterious yellow bead, anything could be put down. After Ning Qing used the twin wings of the heavenly clouds to fly for a while, he felt a little uneasy. For ordinary cultivators, the twin wings of the heavenly clouds was already very fast. Moreover, using the twin wings of the heavenly clouds to fly in the ancient Desolace abandoned land was not only fast but also safe. However, Ning Qing still felt a little uneasy. After thinking about it, he brought out the starry sky wheel. The ancient Desolace abandoned land was filled with spatial whirlpools and interface faults. Using the starry sky wheel to fly in this place was akin to holding one's head in one's hands. Fortunately, Ning Qing did not fly at full speed, which allowed him to avoid some dangers along the way. In the beginning, he could still meet some sporadic cultivators along the way. However, as Ning Qing moved deeper into the ancient Desolace abandoned land, he encountered fewer and fewer cultivators. 2 months later, Ning Qing had to put away the starry sky wheel. At this time, the starry sky wheel no longer had a route to travel. Walking to this place, one would find spatial dislocations and spatial cracks everywhere. It was normal for a cracked planet to suddenly appear in front of him. The call of vicissitudes made Ning Qing's heart tighten even more. Ning Qing guarded his mind and concentrated on moving in the direction of the Moon Spirit Marsh. After another half a month, Ning Qing finally stopped in front of a vast swamp. Although it was a swamp, it was just a vast expanse of whiteness. There was no water, no soil, no vegetation, and no life. It was just a vast expanse of whiteness that looked a bit like a swamp. Ning Qing knew that he had arrived at his destination, the Moon Spirit Marsh. According to the jade strip he had purchased, there was a spatial crack in the depths of this swamp. This spatial crack might be the place where two interfaces intersect. Ning Qing initially wanted to check the outside of the swamp before carefully entering it. However, a vague sense of crisis lingered in his heart. He only stopped for a few breaths on the periphery of the Moon Spirit Marsh before rushing into the Moon Spirit Marsh without hesitation. After entering the Moon Spirit Marsh, Ning Qing immediately slowed down. In this place, he had no choice but to slow down. His spiritual consciousness needed to keep an eye on his surroundings at all times. Once a spatial dislocation or a spatial crack appeared, he would have to change his direction. Don't look at him as a body-forging cultivator who had undergone nirvana. If a spatial dislocation appeared, even if he had undergone nirvana 10,000 times, it wouldn't be enough. The ancient Desolace merchant house's jade strip was indeed worth its weight in gold. Ning Qing did not search for long in the Moon Spirit Marsh before he saw a spatial crack line. According to the jade strip, this spatial crack line was the place where two interfaces intersect. Just like the Heaven's Way he wanted to go, the Heaven's Way was equivalent to a place where two interfaces intersect. However, compared to this place, the Heaven's Way was much safer. Without the mysterious yellow bead, even if that pale-faced cultivator caught up to him, Ning Cheng would not dare to enter this place. He would die without a doubt. However, with the mysterious yellow bead, Ning Cheng did not hesitate to enter the mysterious yellow bead and rush into the spatial crack interface. At the same time, in the 9 Jewels Starry Skies 9-plate Starland, the everlasting sacred shrine was bustling with noise and excitement. As long as the cultivators had some fame in the 9-plate Starland or even the 9 Jewels Starry Sky, they all appeared in the everlasting sacred shrine. Even the Starry Sky Emperor of the 9 Jewels Starry Sky had come. Because the everlasting sacred shrine's sacred master had advanced to the eternal realm and was holding the eternal Starry Sky Emperor grand ceremony, adding one more eternal Starry Sky Emperor to the ranks of the 9 Jewels Starry Sky. Compared to the high-spirited disciples of the everlasting sacred shrine, Ji Luofei looked a little anxious and flustered at this moment. Originally, Mi Jin had promised Ning Cheng that as long as Shi Qianghua returned to the everlasting sacred shrine, she would definitely heal under the everlasting sacred tree. But after Shi Qianghua came back, not to mention healing under the everlasting sacred tree, she couldn't even see the everlasting sacred tree. Mi Jin's request to let Shi Qianghua heal under the everlasting sacred tree was rejected by the sacred master, who had yet to come out of seclusion. Shi Qianghua could only stay outside. In recent days, she had lost consciousness for longer and longer. It was foreseeable that if she didn't go to the everlasting sacred tree to heal, she would lose consciousness and never wake up again. Today was the day when the sacred master came out of seclusion and held the Starry Sky Emperor's grand ceremony. Ji Lefei went to consult her uncle Master Mi Jin early in the morning. After waiting for 2 hours, she finally met the everlasting sacred shrine's sacred master under the guidance of Mi Jin. Chapter 650. Ji Luofei greets Lord Sacred Master. After Ji Luofei followed Mi Jin inside, she quickly bowed. The sacred master sitting above was none other than Mi Hui, the one who had told Ning Cheng to get lost. However, compared to before, her imposing aura was much more condensed and powerful. Although the eternal realm and the life and death realm only differed by a single realm, the difference in strength was like night and day. Mi Hui looked at Ji Luofei from head to toe and spoke slowly. "Are you Ji Luofei, Ning Cheng's Dao companion?" "Yes, Ning Cheng is this junior's husband." Ji Luofei replied with even more respect. "Oh, when Ning Cheng got trapped in the changing Earth Mountain, how did he escape?" Mi Hui's tone remained flat. Ji Luofei quickly replied, "My husband had a void-cleaving escape talisman, which allowed him to escape." Mi Hui nodded. "I see. You can go back." Ji Luofei didn't come here to answer a few questions from Mi Hui. She came here to ask for Mi Hui's consent to arrange Shi Qianghua to cultivate under the everlasting sacred tree. Therefore, how could she dare to withdraw at this time? She quickly bowed again and spoke. "Lord Sacred Master, Senior Apprentice Sister Qianghua is now in danger because she used the Forbidden Life technique, soul concealment. I ask Sacred Master to show mercy and let Senior Apprentice Sister Qianghua cultivate under the everlasting sacred tree." "You can go, I have my own plans." Mi Hui's face sank and spoke with some impatience. "Lord Sacred Master." Seeing that Sacred Master didn't want Senior Apprentice Sister Qianghua to cultivate under the sacred tree, Ji Luofei felt anxious and called out in a slightly louder tone. "Get lost. A slut who has an affair with a man dares to disobey my decree." Mi Hui's expression immediately turned ugly and she raised her hand and waved it. Ji Luofei flew out like a broken kite and spat out a mouthful of blood in the air. "Senior Apprentice Sister Sacred Master." Mi Jin quickly stepped forward to plead. Mi Hui looked at Mi Jin with a gloomy expression and spoke. "Mi Jin, you're getting more and more unreasonable. In the future, don't bring this kind of woman who has an affair with a man into my sacred ground." Mi Jin didn't dare to refute. She bowed and said, "Senior Apprentice Sister Sacred Master Qianghua. The everlasting sacred tree is the most precious treasure of my holy land. Qianghua did not abide by the rules, made friends with demons, and entangled with men. How could she be qualified to be a saintess? She is even less qualified to cultivate under the everlasting sacred tree. This matter is not to be mentioned again in the future. Mi Hui said with a very dissatisfied tone. Hearing the sacred master even say such words, Mi Jin did not dare to say anything else and quickly bowed. She thought that the sacred master valued Saintess Qianghua a lot, but in fact the sacred master had always valued Saintess Qianghua. Who knew that the sacred master would have such an attitude towards sacred maiden Qianghua after advancing to the eternal realm? Compared to before, it was like heaven and earth. Seeing that Mi Jin didn't continue to talk about the sacred lady, Mi Hui nodded and her expression eased up a bit. There are too many guests here today. You have to entertain them. At the same time, my everlasting sacred shrine will have to choose another sacred lady. Mi Jin bowed and retreated. In the past, Sacred Master had always been domineering, but she felt that there was still a bit of a human touch to her. However, the current Holy Master felt very unfamiliar to her. Not only was he domineering, but he also had an air of supremacy about him. Wait. Mi Hui called out to Mi Jin again. Mi Jin felt happy in her heart. She actually liked Saintess Qianghua a lot, but she also felt very afraid of Ning Cheng. She did not want everlasting sacred shrine to become enemies with Ning Cheng, nor did she want Qianghua to fall. Once the sacred master did not allow Shi Qianghua to cultivate under the everlasting sacred tree, Qianghua would definitely fall. At that time, the everlasting sacred shrine would definitely become enemies with Ning Cheng. Moreover, it would be a deep hatred. A trace of indifference appeared on Mi Hui's face as she looked at Mi Jin and spoke. Qianghua ignored the kindness of my sacred shrine and continued to entangle herself with a man. She even used a forbidden technique, which seriously violated the rules of my sacred shrine. Now that she has received the retribution she deserves, you can go and give her a quick death. Also, take care of that Jilu. As for Ning Cheng, take the opportunity of my grand ceremony to issue a wanted order. The reason why Mi Hui said those words was that she had not come out yet. Once she came out, she would know that Ning Cheng's wanted order had already been issued to every corner. Mi Jin looked at the sacred master in shock. She did not think that the sacred master would be so ruthless. Not only did she want to kill Shi Qianghua, but she also wanted to kill Ji Luofei. In case she did this, when Ning Cheng returned in the future, would the everlasting sacred shrine even have a speck of dust? With Ning Cheng's formidable potential, it would not be impossible for him to reach the eternal realm. However, with the strength of the sacred master who had advanced to the eternal realm, she did not dare to say that Ning Cheng, a cultivator who had not even reached the heaven-seated realm, could pose a threat to her. It would be equivalent to slapping the sacred master's face. Little sister Luofei. Shi Qianghua sat weakly in the room and called out when she saw Ji Luofei coming in. She immediately felt something wrong and stood up with the help of a chair. Are you hurt? Ji Luofei quickly stepped forward to support Shi Qianghua and spoke with some eagerness. Big sister Qianghua, sacred master did not allow you to cultivate under the everlasting sacred tree. Moreover, she even injured me with a slap. I'm afraid that she would kill us. Moreover, Ji Luofei had been trapped in the Bridge of Storms for many years and was no longer a simple cultivator who did not understand anything. Shi Qianghua's eyes flashed with a trace of despair before she slowly sat down and spoke. I finally understand why Uncle Master Michen would rather leave the changing Earth Mountains than stay in the everlasting sacred shrine. It turns out that she was right. Big sister Qianghua, when I came here, Senior Apprentice Sister Yi told me that someone seems to have issued a wanted order for Ning Cheng. I'm afraid that we can't stay here. Once someone comes to know that Ning Cheng is our husband, it would not be good for us. Ji Luofei's tone turned even more worried. At this moment, Jing Yi rushed in anxiously. Senior Apprentice Sister. Shi Qianghua quickly called out. Jing Yi spoke up anxiously. I just saw the wanted poster. It's definitely Ning Cheng. It's definitely the work of a great person. Junior Apprentice Sister Qianghua, you should quickly leave with Junior Apprentice Sister Lufei. Shi Qianghua spoke up calmly. Does Sacred Master also want to kill me? Jing Yi did not answer Shi Qianghua's words. Instead, she took out a talisman and stuffed it into Shi Qionghua's hand. Senior apprentice Sister Qionghua, Uncle Master Mi Jin left this for me. She wants you to quickly leave the everlasting sacred shrine. Many thanks, Senior Apprentice Sister. Many thanks, Uncle Master Mi Jin. Ji Luofei took the escape talisman from Shi Qionghua's hand and did not wait for Shi Qionghua to speak before putting Shi Qionghua on her back. The everlasting sacred shrine, at this moment, was overflowing with joy. No one cared about Ji Luofei and Shi Qionghua leaving. As for Sacred Master Mi Hui, she would not put these two ants in her eyes. In a celestial river battleship, Ji Luofei took in a deep breath and spoke. We finally escaped. Big Sister Qionghua, why did Jing Yi help us? Senior Apprentice Sister Yi and I have always been inseparable. Besides, my husband also saved her life. Although it was Uncle Master Mi Jin's intention, but for her to help me this time, she also took a great risk. Shi Qionghua spoke with a sigh, but before she could finish her words, she immediately fell backwards. Ji Luofei turned anxious and quickly held Shi Qionghua up while calling out anxiously, Big Sister Qionghua. It was not the first time for Ning Cheng to use the mysterious yellow bead to escape into a spatial collapse. According to his experience, as long as he waited for a while, he would be able to escape from the chaotic spatial collapse and enter a stable zone. But this time, it was beyond Ning Cheng's expectations. Ning Cheng had stayed in the mysterious yellow bead for nearly 5 or 6 days, yet the mysterious yellow bead was still tumbling about due to the spatial storms and whirlpools. After another 2 days, Ning Cheng no longer kept an eye on the situation outside. Instead, he took out a perpetual moon pill and began cultivating inside the mysterious yellow bead. Cultivating inside the mysterious yellow bead, not only did one's cultivation speed increase, but one's comprehension ability also increased by several times compared to cultivating outside. Ning Cheng had a deep understanding of this. Initially, he had only cultivated inside the mysterious yellow bead for a few months before reaching the middle level of the undead realm. If he had cultivated outside, even with enough perpetual moon pills and the help of the mysterious yellow aura, it would have taken him at least a few years to reach the middle level of the undead realm. Taoist Crow's inheritance had a huge effect on Ning Cheng. Even if he consumed more cultivation resources, these 10 million perpetual moon pills were enough for him to cultivate for a while. 4 months later, Ning Cheng directly rushed into the late stage of the undead realm. 7 months later, Ning Cheng's cultivation reached the full circle of the undead realm. After reaching the full circle of the undead realm, the celestial essence surging within his body made Ning Cheng want to find a heaven-seated starry sky demonic beast and fight it out to see how powerful his celestial essence had grown. On the 8th month, Ning Cheng stopped cultivating. His cultivation had completely stabilized at the full circle of the undead realm, and just 1 step away from crossing the tribulation and entering the heaven's mandate realm. Ning Cheng knew that he was different from other cultivators. Other cultivators did not need to cross the tribulation from the undead realm to the heaven's mandate realm, but he needed to cross the tribulation. The mysterious yellow bead did not seem to be as turbulent as before, and Ning Cheng could barely explore it with his spiritual consciousness. The number of spatial vortexes outside had also decreased a lot, and spatial dislocations and storms had also disappeared. A few days later, Ning Cheng rushed out of the mysterious yellow bead and put it back into the depths of his Zifu. At this time, apart from some scattered meteorite flows and some simple void wind edges, he could no longer see any spatial vortexes or cracks. Ning Cheng guessed that he must have come out of the spatial crack. Passing through a planar interface's spatial crack, the mysterious yellow bead had tumbled for 8 months. He did not know how far he had traveled, or if this place was still the same part of the universe's starry skies. Whether it was or not, the most important thing for Ning Cheng was to find a place to cross the tribulation and advance to the heaven's mandate realm first. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out and found nothing but the void around him, without any markings or any battleships or flight-type weapons. 10 days later, Ning Cheng stopped on top of a broken meteor. As there was no land here, he could only cross the tribulation in the void. However, Ning Cheng did not worry about it. It was not the first time for him to cross a tribulation in the void. Moreover, he believed that with his formidable strength, crossing a heaven's mandate thunder tribulation should not be a problem. Chapter 651. The perpetual moon pills transformed into a celestial essence whirlpool, and Ning Qing did not need to stimulate it at all before it completely poured into Ning Cheng's body. Ning Cheng's cultivation had already reached the peak of the undead realm, and the celestial essence condensed within his body had long since begun to search for a source for a breakthrough. At this moment, Ning Cheng stood on the broken meteorite and felt the celestial essence within his body rumbling. It turned out that every time he broke through a realm, he needed to blast open the barrier between realms and stimulate his celestial essence to grow stronger. But this time, he did not even try to break through the cultivation barrier. Instead, the celestial essence naturally blasted open the shackles on his cultivation. With the cultivation barrier blasted open, Ning Cheng absorbed the piles of perpetual moon pills outside at a faster rate, which then turned into celestial essence. Boom boom. But before his celestial essence could reach its peak, lightning arcs descended. Ning Cheng did not even prepare any defensive measures. Originally, he had advanced through the tribulation. This time, he advanced first before facing the thunder tribulation, which did not pose any challenge at all. From this, one could see how heaven-defying his mysterious yellow bead was. This time, he had advanced completely within the mysterious yellow bead. Because of the heaven-defying nature of the mysterious yellow bead, he could advance first before facing the thunder tribulation. The dense and thick lightning arcs fell on Ning Cheng's body, but it only tore apart Ning Cheng's clothes before turning them into thunder sources for Ning Cheng to absorb. After the first wave of dozens of lightning arcs, Ning Cheng only had a few bloodstains on his body except for his slightly burnt hair. As Ning Cheng circulated his celestial essence, those bloodstains disappeared without a trace. As if it knew that this thunder tribulation had no effect on Ning Cheng, the second wave of thunder tribulation was not much stronger than the first wave of thunder tribulation. It only contained a dozen more lightning arcs. As for the thunder beads and thunder waterfalls that Ning Cheng had encountered before, he could not see them at all. Ning Cheng felt a little disappointed in his heart. He could only crazily absorb these thunder sources and then simulate them into his own lightning arcs to attack. As for using the lightning arcs of this thunder tribulation to quench his body, Ning Cheng gave up after thinking about it. This thunder tribulation might be powerful to the extreme for ordinary people, but for him, it was not enough. The rumbling sounds were endless, and lightning arcs fell one after another. These lightning arcs, in addition to consolidating his cultivation, were used by Ning Cheng to condense his own thunder techniques. It was just that he did not have an inheritance of thunder magic, and he had completely figured it out by himself. Although this was the most ordinary thunder tribulation that Ning Cheng had ever crossed, in this empty void, the dense lightning arcs still looked very conspicuous. Catcha! As the lightning arcs blasted apart the meteorite under Ning Cheng's feet, Ning Cheng thoroughly consolidated his cultivation. A moment later, the lightning tribulation above his head disappeared without a trace. It was as if the lightning tribulation had come to consolidate his cultivation. Ning Cheng had just cleaned himself up and put on a new set of clothes, when his spiritual consciousness swept out and detected a shadow rapidly flying towards him. A moment later, the shadow stopped in front of Ning Cheng. It was a high-grade Dao artifact airship. On the deck of the flying ship stood 3 cultivators, 1 male and 2 female. One of the young women stood in the front, while a man and a woman stood on her left and right, seemingly the subordinates of this young female cultivator. Ning Cheng's eyes narrowed slightly. He noticed that although the 2 female cultivators were Heaven's Mandate cultivators, the male cultivator had already reached the heaven-seated realm. When he killed Shang Moyang, it was under favorable circumstances. Not only that, but he had also used all of his mechanisms. Later, when he fought against Mi Jin suffered a severe backlash and did not dare to use her full strength. At most, she could only bring out 30 to 40% of her cultivation to fight against him. Even so, he still ended up at a disadvantage. Although his cultivation was a few levels higher than before, he still did not feel that he could defeat a heaven-seated cultivator. There was a huge gap between the heaven-seated realm and the heaven's mandate realm, and this gap could not be filled with anything else. Were you the one who caused the lightning arcs to linger around here? Ning Cheng's guess was not wrong. The first person to ask was the female cultivator with heaven's mandate cultivation standing in front of him. Ning Cheng cupped his fists in a neither arrogant nor humble manner. Yes, I was just trying out my thunder techniques here, which caused a bit of a ruckus. Are you a cultivator with a thunder spiritual root? The female cultivator asked again in surprise. Ning Cheng hesitated for a moment before replying, No, but I have a thunder-attributed magical technique that I can cultivate through a secret method. The female cultivator nodded and did not continue to ask. Ning Cheng already felt polite enough to answer these questions. Under normal circumstances, it was already against the rules for her to ask about other people's spiritual roots and magical techniques. Ning Cheng was just trying to figure out where this place was when the female cultivator asked again, Are you from the Eternal Night Domain? Eternal Night Domain? Ning Cheng repeated the words in doubt. But then he reacted and spoke, I'm a starry skies wanderer. After wandering the starry skies for many years, I lost my way and decided to adapt to the situation. Later, I took control of my starry skies battleship and flew for hundreds of years before finally arriving here. Even before meeting the few of you, I had no sense of direction. You actually used a starry skies battleship to fly for hundreds of years and bypass the interface? Which interface did you come from? The female cultivator asked in surprise, apparently shocked by Ning Cheng's words. She did not doubt Ning Cheng's words about flying for hundreds of years. To be able to cultivate to Ning Cheng's level, which one of them had not experienced more than 1,000 years of cultivation. Ning Cheng smiled and scratched his head before speaking with some helplessness, I don't know. I only know that our planet is called Earth. Did you say Earth? The female cultivator asked again in surprise. This time, Ning Cheng felt shocked. If he said Earth, then it meant that he did not want to continue answering the question. If he said Earth, then no one would know about it. Ning Cheng did not expect this female cultivator to have such a big reaction. Did she know about Earth? Do you know about Earth? Ning Cheng quickly asked. He even felt a sense of familiarity. Only those who had experienced the boundless vastness of the universe would understand the insignificance of Earth in the vast universe. The female cultivator shook her head and spoke, I don't know about Earth, but I've heard people talk about this place. Ning Cheng quickly asked. He felt a sense of joy from meeting an old friend in a foreign land. Was there someone else besides him who had left Earth for cultivation? The female cultivator showed a slight smile and spoke, I can talk to you like this because our cultivations are not too different. At that time, that senior inadvertently mentioned Earth. However, I did not dare to ask about it. Therefore, I do not know who that senior was. Maybe that senior just happened to pass through the Eternal Night Domain. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath before cupping his fists and asking, Three Dao friends, what kind of place is the Eternal Night Domain? The female cultivator hesitated for a moment before explaining, the Eternal Night Domain is a void between several interfaces or even positional planes. From this place, one can go to other interfaces or even positional planes. Some of the cultivators who ended up in the Eternal Night Domain escaped, some lost their way like you, and some came here on purpose. Cultivators often leave this place, but cultivators also often come in. Ning Cheng already understood that this meant that he had not yet arrived at another interface. In other words, he was in the middle of two interfaces. Even in this middle zone, one could go to other positional planes. Those who could come to the Eternal Night Domain were obviously not ordinary people. Just like him, if not for the mysterious yellow bead, he would never have reached this place. From the looks of it, it would be best for him not to go to the Eternal Night Domain. Senior apprentice sister, are there many powerhouses in the Eternal Night Domain? Are there any powerhouses in the Eternal Realm? Ning Cheng did not intend to go to the Eternal Night Domain. It was a dangerous place for him. If he could escape from a powerhouse in the life and death realm, then in front of a powerhouse in the Eternal Realm, his chances would be very slim. The female cultivator nodded. Yes, there are naturally powerhouses in the eternal realm. However, such powerhouses generally would not stay here for long and would try to find a way to leave the eternal night domain. Because this place is the intersection of several positional planes, some of the positional planes' powerhouses are not in the eternal realm. However, their cultivations are definitely not any weaker than the powerhouses in the eternal realm. When Ning Cheng heard this, he felt even more reluctant to go to the eternal night domain. He thanked her once again. Many thanks, Senior Apprentice Sister. I don't know if Senior Apprentice Sister has a jade strip with directions to the eternal night domain? Or perhaps an introduction jade strip to the eternal night domain. Although he did not want to go to the eternal night domain now, it did not mean that he would not go there in the future. Once his cultivation grew stronger, he would go to the eternal night domain to inquire about how to return to the grand culmination starry skies. I naturally have a jade strip, but you are only one person. It would still be dangerous for you to go to the eternal night domain alone. My Su clan has been in the eternal night domain for countless years and has a certain foundation. I can see that this friend has extraordinary courage. Why don't you join my Su clan and help each other out? The female cultivator finished with a smile and stared at Ning Cheng. She said that they could help each other out of respect for Ning Cheng. In other words, even if you join my Su clan, you would still have someone to rely on. Otherwise, you would find it difficult to even take a single step in the eternal night domain. Ning Cheng finally understood why this female cultivator spoke so much to him with such a pleasant expression. It turned out that she had taken a fancy to his bravery in wandering the void for hundreds of years and wanted to recruit him as a hired thug for the Su clan. Ning Cheng did not want to offend these three people, so he quickly cupped his fists and spoke. I'm used to wandering the starry skies and do not intend to go to the eternal night domain for the time being. Many thanks, Senior Apprentice Sister. The female cultivator stared at Ning Cheng for a while before sighing. Taking out 2 jade strips, she threw them to Ning Cheng and spoke. In that case, I will not force you. If one day you get tired of wandering in this place, you can come to my Su clan. This female cultivator did not say how to find the Su clan, only that he could go to the Su clan. Ning Cheng guessed that the status of the Su clan should not be small. At least in the eternal night domain, as long as he mentioned the name of the Su clan, he would be able to find it. Ning Cheng took the 2 jade strips and once again cupped his fists. Many thanks, Senior Apprentice Sister. Many thanks, several friends. This Ning will take his leave. With that, Ning Cheng's figure flashed slightly before turning into a shadow and disappearing into the distance. Another woman behind this female cultivator gave a snort and spoke. This person must have some secrets on him, so he does not dare to go to the eternal night domain. The man in the heaven-seated realm spoke up in a calm voice. Being able to come here, how many of them do not have secrets? Chapter 652. A few days later, Ning Cheng found a broken starland. This starland was different from the meteorites that flew through the void, as it moved slowly through the void. Using this place as a place for secluded cultivation, it was much better than the meteorites. If one was not careful, the meteorites would collide with other meteorites and break apart. However, this broken starland, although it did not have any celestial essence or spiritual chi, it was relatively safe. Because of its huge surface area, even if an ordinary meteorite hit it, it would not cause much damage. In the temporary cave he dug out, Ning Cheng took out the jade strip about the eternal night domain that the female cultivator had given him. The eternal night domain was somewhat similar to the rootless black city where he once lived. It's just that the eternal night domain was countless times larger than the rootless black city and much more stable. It was a relatively complete continent with relatively complete laws, no different from an ordinary planet. If one had to point out a difference, it would be that the eternal night domain did not have any sunlight. The eternal night domain was just a lone starland suspended in the crevice of the void, without any luminous planets to provide sunlight for the eternal night domain. Because of this, the eternal night domain got its name. Therefore, the eternal night domain was filled with clear light stones and clear light array formations. Although there was no sunlight, It was not the same as the eternal night domain. One could even say that there was no night here. The eternal night domain had existed for hundreds of millions of years, and countless cultivators had fallen here. Some of the cultivators had reproduced here and even formed a certain clan. Ningqing guessed that the Su clan should be such a clan. Because this place was a bit special, many powerhouses had fallen in the eternal night domain over the years. Because the eternal night domain was located in the crevice of several positional planes, these powerhouses had different realms, but all of them ruled over a region. The difference in realms was only due to the subtle differences in the laws of heaven and earth in each positional plane. It was just a difference in terms of naming. In fact, all paths lead to the same destination. Cultivating to the extreme, one still had to pursue the same goal. However, there were many cultivation resources around the eternal night domain, and some people had even found a perpetual moon pill mountain. It was a pill mountain made up of perpetual moon pills. After countless years of celestial essence chi condensation, the perpetual moon pills on the mountain seemed endless. Ningqing shook his head and put away the jade strip. He really wanted to go to the eternal night domain. After all, cultivating in the eternal night domain was much better than this place. Moreover, he could also do some business in the eternal night domain, selling some medicinal pills and weapons in exchange for the perpetual moon pills he needed for cultivation. However, Ningqing dispelled the idea. Before advancing to the heaven-seated realm, he didn't want to go to the eternal night domain unless it was a last resort. Since the last time when the mysterious yellow bead was exposed, he had become even more cautious in his heart. Perhaps in the starry sky cities of grand culmination starry skies, there were still certain rules to follow. However, in the eternal night domain, which was located in the crack between the positional planes, even if someone forcibly grabbed him and searched his body, he would not be able to do anything about it. Not entering the mysterious yellow bead to cultivate, Ningqing's speed immediately slowed down a lot. Fortunately, he had a lot of perpetual moon pills and other medicinal pills, as well as the mysterious yellow aura to cleanse his meridians. Even though his speed was much slower than before, it was still far superior compared to the average cultivator. As the number of perpetual moon pills around Ningqing continued to decrease, his cultivation also continued to rise. The radial immortal star was a remote planet in the grand culmination starry skies night essence celestial river. Generally, cultivators with some background would rarely come to this place. Moreover, the pendant city was a city on the edge of the radial immortal star. Ji Lufei had been hiding with Shi Qianghua in the pendant city, a city on the edge of this remote planet for 5 years. During these 5 years, Ji Lufei had used up all the cultivation resources that Ningqing had left for her and Shi Qianghua. Moreover, with the help of the harmonizing celestial pills, she managed to advance to the celestial bridge realm. One could even say that within the entire night essence celestial river, no cultivator had the same rich cultivation conditions as Ji Lufei. She had access to piles of perpetual moon pills and all kinds of advancement medicinal pills for cultivation. Moreover, when she reached the great circle of celestial gatherer realm, she even had access to a large number of harmonizing celestial pills. Coupled with Ji Luofei's qualifications, which far exceeded the average cultivator, she finally advanced from the celestial novice realm to the celestial bridge realm in 5 years. However, she had almost used up all the perpetual moon pills and some other medicinal pills. If she wanted to go further, she would have to go out and look for more cultivation resources. Senior apprentice Sister Qianghua, I'm leaving this place. Ji Lufei whispered before sending the unconscious Shi Qianghua into the miniature world. Since Shi Qianghua never woke up, Ji Lufei sealed Shi Qianghua with a restriction and kept Shi Qianghua by her side. She had exchanged 10 harmonizing celestial pills and a bunch of perpetual moon pills for this miniature world. Nevertheless, this miniature world was still a low-level miniature world. If not for elder sister Qianghua, she would never have used so many resources in exchange for a low-level miniature world. When she and Ningqing broke up, she had told Ningqing to take good care of elder sister Qianghua. Seeing Qianghua in such a state, she felt anxious and terrified. She felt sorry for Ningqing and failed to fulfill her promise. Now, The only thing she could do was to improve her cultivation. Ji Lufei walked into the Pendant City's trade union. She initially planned to leave the radial immortal star and explore other places. But before leaving, she changed her mind and deliberately came to the Pendant City's trade union. She had already gotten used to living in the Pendant City and could not adapt to suddenly changing places. If she could find cultivation resources in the Pendant City, she intended to stay here for a while. It would be best if she could cultivate to the Heaven's Mandate realm here. Senior. As soon as Ji Luofei came in, many cultivators bowed and made way for her. In other places, a puny celestial bridge cultivator would not even enter the eyes of others. But in the Pendant City, celestial bridge cultivators were supreme existences. Ji Lufei nodded and was just about to look at the big screen to see if there was a better mystic realm or a place with rich cultivation resources when she heard someone talking next to her. The ice immortal ridge suddenly cracked open. I heard that even heaven-seated cultivators came over. Ji Lufei felt surprised. She had lived on the radial immortal star for many years and was naturally no stranger to the ice immortal ridge. Although the ice immortal ridge was called a ridge, it was sealed off by ice and snow all year round. Even a top-grade powerhouse could not open this seal. Forcibly opening it would only cause the radial immortal star to shatter. The radial immortal star was a planet under the grand culmination starry sky, home to tens of billions of people. No cultivator had the courage to forcibly blast open the radial immortal star. Besides, ordinary cultivators could not blast open the radial immortal star. No one knew for how many years the ice immortal ridge had been sealed off. However, Ji Luofei knew that the ice immortal ridge had once cracked open 100,000 years ago. At that time, countless cultivators had entered to look for opportunities. However, the ice immortal ridge quickly closed again, and none of the cultivators who entered came out. Among them, there were even heaven-seated powerhouses. This time, when the ice immortal ridge cracked open again, she suddenly felt the urge to go and take a look. Ji Luofei knew that although she had good qualifications, without the cultivation resources Ning Qing gave her, she could never advance from the celestial novice realm to the celestial bridge realm in 5 years. She wanted to cultivate to the heaven-seated realm as soon as possible to find Ning Qing, or at least to help Ning Qing. Therefore she had to take some risks. This starry sky was indeed vast and boundless, and there were countless cultivators in this starry sky. With so many cultivators looking for cultivation resources, if she did not want to take risks, where could she find good things for cultivation? If she followed Ning Qing could take care of these things. But now that she was not by Ning Qing's side, she could only do these things by herself. If Ning Qing could risk his life to find cultivation resources, then she, Ji Luofei, could do the same. Thinking of this, Ji Luofei made up her mind. Whether she lived or died, she had to take the risk and go to the ice immortal ridge. Ji Luofei looked up at the big screen as if nothing had happened. Sure enough, the first thing she saw on the big screen was the ice immortal ridge cracking open. Then, many cultivators started looking for teams with the purpose of going to the ice immortal ridge together. Ji Luofei did not plan to form a team with others. She stayed in the guild for a while before turning around and quickly leaving. After half an incense stick worth of time, Ji Luofei finally left the Pendant City. She brought out a flight-type weapon and flew directly towards the ice immortal ridge. Bang! Another huge meteorite came crashing down. Ning Qing stood on the broken star where he had gone into seclusion for 5 years and punched out. The violent celestial essence condensed into a powerful fist momentum. Ning Qing's fist momentum blocked the approaching meteorite and immediately slowed it down. Then, Ning Qing's fist intent dispersed, and the meteorite exploded with a bang before disintegrating into pieces. Ning Qing retracted his fist and sighed. During the 5 years of seclusion, he had already used up all the medicinal pills he could use. Even the 10 million perpetual moon pills were not left. Moreover, his cultivation had only reached the late-stage Heaven's Mandate realm. There was still a long way to go before he reached the full circle of Heaven's Mandate realm. Although his strength had grown a lot stronger than before, he understood that he would not be qualified to speak before reaching the heaven-seated realm. Without cultivation resources, even if he wanted to go into seclusion, it would not be feasible. He did not want to go to the eternal night domain before advancing to the heaven-seated realm. But at this time, he had to go to the eternal night domain. For Ning Cheng, not being able to advance in his cultivation was the most critical thing. As long as his cultivation could continue to advance, he could continue to cultivate in seclusion. In any case, he could not let his cultivation stagnate. Taking out the locational jade strip given to him by the female cultivator, Ning Cheng quickly found the location of the eternal night domain. Chapter 653. 3 months later, Ning Cheng stood outside the eternal night domain. According to his speculations, the eternal night domain was just like the rootless Black City, a city suspended in the void. But after arriving at this place, Ning Cheng realized that his idea was a big mistake. Was this just a city? This was basically a star continent. Even outside the eternal night domain, Ning Cheng could feel the majestic and imposing aura. Looking at it from afar, one could see that the eternal night domain's defensive array was filled with lights. Ning Cheng was a bit absent-minded. He seemed to be able to see the night view of Jiangzhou, which was also filled with lights. However, this place was billions of miles away from Jiang Prefecture. When he thought of Jiangzhou, he thought of Rulin. He wondered if his younger sister, Rulin, who had come out with him, was doing well. Ning Cheng quickly calmed down his mood. In the vast universe, if he wanted to do what he wanted to do, he first needed to have enough strength to keep up. But now, his strength was too weak. Outside the eternal night domain was an empty public square. In Ning Cheng's view, this public square was even bigger than the public square outside Culmination Starland. This public square was directly connected to the eternal night domain. Ning Cheng carefully landed on the public square. Just as he landed, a white light emerged from under his feet. Ning Cheng was startled and was just about to escape when 2 figures flew over. "Is this your first time in the eternal night domain?" The cultivator who came over stared at Ning Cheng and asked. Ning Cheng had already reacted at this time. The white light from a moment ago should have been caused by the control array on the public square. The cultivators who came here before definitely had some kind of array control jade card or something like that. He didn't have a jade card on him, so the array control on the square was glowing white. As Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness penetrated into the public square, he was able to see an array pattern. It looks like his guess was not wrong. At this moment, a dozen spiritual consciousnesses swept over and fell on Ning Cheng's body. Some powerful divine consciousnesses definitely surpassed the sky-seated realm. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath before cupping his fists and speaking. "It's not my first time coming to the eternal night domain. I'm from the Su clan. Previously, when I was out searching for cultivation resources, I lost one of the rings because of a dangerous situation. If the ring was lost, there would definitely be nothing left. As for the array plate, there would definitely be nothing left." Hearing that it was not Ning Cheng's first time in the eternal night domain, and that he was also a member of the Su clan, the 2 cultivators immediately lost interest. One of them spoke to Ning Cheng. "Such being the case, then you can go and get a replacement array card." Saying that, the 2 of them simply did not bother to continue to pay attention to Ning Cheng and quickly left. Even the spiritual consciousness that had swept towards Ning Cheng also moved away. Apparently, Ning Cheng was not the only one who had lost his array card. Ning Cheng breathed in a sigh of relief. From the looks of it, the Su clan had a certain status in the eternal night domain. The jade strip that the female cultivator from the Su clan had given him did not mention anything about the jade card required for the first time in the eternal night domain. He didn't know if she had purposely erased it or if she hadn't thought about it. Ning Cheng walked into the hall at the edge of the public square and easily saw a huge sign, "Eternal Night Domain Array Controlling Jade Card." Before going to apply for the jade card, Ning Cheng deliberately observed the surroundings. He found that this place was not so much a hall for applying for jade cards, but rather a rest stop. Some cultivators were drinking spirit tea or spirit wine while chatting. There were also some cultivators conducting transactions. However, Ning Cheng found that no one here used the celestial coins commonly used in the 4 grand starry skies. Most of the cultivators here used starry sky crystals, while a few cultivators used perpetual moon pills. Hey, why are you here? Just as Ning Cheng was about to go and apply for the Eternal Night Domain Array Formation Jade card, a surprised voice called out to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng turned around and immediately recognized the female cultivator. She was one of the 3 people he had met before. Ning Cheng greets this senior apprentice sister. Ning Cheng had just said that he was from the Su clan. Now that a person from the Su clan had arrived, he quickly greeted her. So you're called Ning Cheng. Did you come here to congratulate our little miss on her wedding? This female cultivator did not treat herself as an outsider. Since Ning Cheng came here, she immediately thought that Ning Cheng had come here to congratulate the Su clan's little miss on her wedding. When Ning Cheng had just arrived here, many spiritual consciousnesses had already locked onto him, which made him feel even more threatened by the Eternal Night Domain. Now that this female cultivator said that their little miss was going to get married, Ning Cheng immediately followed up with her words. Yeah, I heard about it from outside and immediately rushed back. I hope I can make it in time. Ning Cheng felt lucky in his heart. This matter was just too coincidental. He had just arrived in the Eternal Night Domain, and the Su clan's little miss was about to get married. Naturally, I can make it in time. I'm here to pick up someone. You can go first, I'll wait for a while. This female cultivator, on hearing that Ning Cheng came here to deliver a gift, her tone immediately turned tactful. Ning Cheng took advantage of the situation and spoke up. I just came back and don't have an invitation. I don't know senior apprentice sister's name. The female cultivator giggled, took out an invitation and handed it to Ning Cheng. My name is Ji Min. It's just an invitation. You can go first, I still have to pick up someone. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept through the invitation and found out that the female cultivator who had given him the jade strip was called Su Baijiao, while the man who was going to marry Su Baijiao was called Duangan Tai. Many thanks, senior apprentice Sister Ji Min. It's just that I've just returned to the Eternal Night Domain and don't have the array controlling jade card. Ning Cheng did have some celestial essence crystals on him, but when he looked at his celestial essence crystals, they did not seem to be very pure. As for perpetual moon pills, he did not even have a single one on him. Since he would have to send a gift later, he might as well ask this Ji Min for a favor. It's just a small matter, you don't have to buy it. I have some extra here. While speaking, Ji Min took out a jade card and stuffed it into Ning Cheng's hands. This jade card is anonymous. Just remember to take out the jade card when you return to the Eternal Night Domain. Although Ning Cheng was also a guest, in Ji Min's eyes, Ning Cheng was obviously not an important guest. After stuffing the jade card into Ning Cheng's hands, she hurriedly left. Ning Cheng hung the jade card around his waist and walked out of the public square again. The white light under his feet had already disappeared. He breathed a sigh of relief. In any case, he had finally passed the first hurdle of entering the Eternal Night Domain. In the future, he would also be a person from the Eternal Night Domain. As such, no one would dare to casually inquire about him. Entering the Eternal Night Domain along the spacious void public square, Ning Cheng realized that he had forgotten to ask Ji Min about the location of Su Clan. The Eternal Night Domain was not a city, it was a place similar to a starland. There were cities, corner fortresses, and even some sects and forces. Ning Cheng stopped a cultivator in the Celestial Bridge realm and took out an Alioth pill. Friend, I lost the jade strip for the Eternal Night Domain. Do you have it? Give it to me. The cultivator, on seeing the Grade 4 Celestial River pill, the Alioth pill, did not hesitate at all. He took out a jade strip and stuffed it into Ning Cheng's hands before grabbing Ning Cheng's medicinal pill and turning around to leave. Exchanging an Alioth pill for an ordinary jade strip for the Eternal Night Domain, if this wasn't stupid, then what was? However, the cultivator did not go far before he sobered up. Even if the Eternal Night Domain's jade strip was lost, wouldn't it not be enough to exchange it with a medicinal pill? There were simply too many places in the Eternal Night Domain where one could purchase such jade strips. At this moment he finally reacted. That cultivator must have come to the Eternal Night Domain for the first time. Generally, cultivators who came to the Eternal Night Domain for the first time, as long as they did not have high cultivation, were all fat sheep. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept through the Jade Strip and found that the Su clan resided in the Eternal Night City, the largest city in the Eternal Night Domain. According to the map on the Jade Strip, the Eternal Night City was undoubtedly the largest city in the Eternal Night Domain, and it was the closest to the Eternal Night Public Square. Following the directions on the Jade Strip, Ning Cheng arrived outside the Eternal Night City in just the time it took for an incense stick to burn. The Eternal Night City did not have any city walls, only layers upon layers of defensive arrays. After entering the Eternal Night City, under the illumination of the bright light array formation, one could clearly see many festive signboards on both sides of the street, all of them celebrating the wedding of the Su clan Su Baijiao. Ning Cheng understood that the Su clan had a significant status in the Eternal Night City and even in the Eternal Night Domain. There were not many people on the street, but Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness casually swept out and found several heaven-seated powerhouses. He quickly retracted his spiritual consciousness and did not dare to casually sweep out. Walking along the Eternal Night Street for just a few kilometers, a luxurious and imposing gateway appeared in front of Ning Cheng. The words Eternal Night Su Clan were written on the gateway, indicating the status and momentum of the Su clan in the Eternal Night Domain. At the entrance of the Su clan, there was a festive atmosphere, with 4 cultivators in the Heaven's Mandate realm standing on either side to welcome guests. Of these 4 cultivators, any one of them had cultivation no worse than Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng took out the invitation and stepped forward. "I'm here to attend Senior Apprentice Sister Baijiao's wedding. Honorable guest, please come in." The 4 cultivators in the Heaven's Mandate realm bowed to Ning Cheng at the same time and then pointed towards the door. Ning Cheng could not bring out the gifts he had prepared, as the 4 cultivators in charge of welcoming guests had no intention of accepting the gifts. Ning Cheng had to give up the idea of giving gifts and followed them through the gate. As soon as he entered the gate, a female attendant came over and bowed to lead the way. At this time, another cultivator came over with an invitation. The 4 people also bowed and invited him through the gate. Similarly, a female cultivator came over to lead the way for this cultivator. Ning Cheng noticed that this cultivator also did not bring any gifts. This cultivator had a heaven-seated cultivation, so Ning Cheng deliberately stopped and let this heaven-seated cultivator walk in front of him. When Ning Cheng stopped, the female cultivator leading the way also stopped. This heaven-seated cultivator did not know that Ning Cheng wanted to follow behind him and see what he did. Thinking that Ning Cheng was a junior showing respect to an elder, he nodded towards Ning Cheng. However, to Ning Cheng's disappointment, the female cultivator in front of him did not follow the heaven-seated cultivator. Instead, after walking for a while, she turned around and walked towards the other side. She quickly brought Ning Cheng through an arched door, before arriving at a huge hall. Rather than saying it was a hall, it would be more accurate to call it a hall. This hall looked even more luxurious. Ning Cheng's gaze swept around and found that nearly 100 people were already sitting in the hall. Seeing that there was no cultivator above the heaven-seated realm here, Ning Cheng realized that although they were all guests, there were still differences. Sky realm guests obviously wouldn't sit with them. Chapter 654. The female cultivator who led the way led Ning Cheng to a seat and immediately retreated. Someone then automatically served him spiritual tea. The celestial wheels behind Ning Cheng weren't very clear, and his imposing aura didn't look very strong. In the eyes of others, he was at most an undead cultivator. Facing such an ordinary cultivator, the people inside just glanced at him before looking away. No one would care about someone like Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng also didn't have any intention to talk to anyone. Those who could come here to attend Su Baijiao's wedding obviously had some background. With his current status, he couldn't make friends with these people. He quietly sipped his spirit tea while listening to these cultivators talk loudly. Through the conversations of these cultivators, Ning Cheng also learned some things about the Eternal Night Domain. He also learned that in the void around the Eternal Night Domain, if one was lucky, not only could one find the Perpetual Moon Pill Mountain and Pill Pond, but even the Permanent Essence Pill Pond. Although Ning Cheng had never seen permanent essence pills, he knew that permanent essence pills were a higher-grade cultivation resource compared to perpetual moon pills. It wasn't artificially refined, but condensed from starry sky essence qi over countless years in a specific environment. No impurities, no side effects, only pure cultivation essence qi. This friend, I just heard them say that Senior Ji Zhen obtained a permanent essence pill mountain. If others knew about it, wouldn't they covet it? Ning Cheng whispered to a cultivator in Heaven's Mandate realm beside him. The cultivator glanced at Ning Cheng and spoke with disdain. Covet? After Senior Ji Zhen obtained the permanent essence pill mountain, he not only advanced to the eternal realm, but also surpassed the eternal realm. With such power, who would dare covet it? With Senior Ji Zhen's cultivation, he naturally left the crevice of the eternal night domain. Ning Cheng didn't care about the other party's tone and still politely asked, "You said that Senior Ji Zhen obtained a permanent essence pill and could surpass the eternal realm? Isn't permanent essence pill a cultivation medicinal pill? I heard that to surpass the eternal realm, one must achieve it through Tao confirming means. What do you know? With a permanent essence pill mountain, one can naturally reach Tao confirming." The cultivator felt dissatisfied with Ning Cheng's rebuttal. Ning Cheng didn't care about it. But a cultivator with narrow eyes sitting a little further away from Ning Cheng suddenly spoke up, "Don't talk nonsense if you don't know anything. The friend who just asked is right. Permanent essence pills were just medicinal pills for cultivation. No matter how many there were, it couldn't prove one's Tao." Senior Ji Zhen succeeded in reaching the Tao confirming realm because he found an opportunity to reach the Tao confirming realm on the permanent essence pill mountain. Permanent essence pills can't compare to it. I don't know when we'll have such a great opportunity. Another cultivator sighed. Ning Cheng didn't continue to interrupt. He didn't expect that the eternal night domain would have so many pill mountains within the void. From the looks of it, this place was suitable for condensing a pill mountain. In the future, if he could not earn perpetual moon pills in the eternal night domain, maybe he could go out and look for it. However, before going out, he had to investigate the situation in the void around the eternal night domain. With his starry sky wheel, he could definitely go to places that no one had ever gone before. At this moment, a pretty female cultivator walked into the main hall and stood on the main platform before bowing and speaking, "In order to thank all the guests for coming to my Su clan as guests, the little miss and her son-in-law will come and toast to all the distinguished guests." The cultivators in the hall immediately stood up and applauded, while Ning Cheng also stood up and applauded behind them. Although Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness was extremely powerful, he could still hear people whispering behind him that Duan Tai is really lucky to be able to marry into the Su clan. Don't talk nonsense. Prepare your gifts. It's impolite to talk about the bridegroom here. Someone immediately interrupted the person's discussion. Hearing this, Ning Cheng understood that this Duan Tai was a son-in-law. Moreover, it wasn't that he didn't want to give gifts at the wedding, but that he wanted to give them all at the same time. Ning Cheng thought about it for a moment and understood what was going on. In this place, everyone wanted to give gifts together. Whoever gave less would not only lose face, but would also be looked down upon by others. This Su clan really wasn't reserved at all. In China, people paid particular attention to being reserved, and even gift-giving was a very reserved thing. However, in the eternal night domain, gift-giving directly became a matter of sincerity. Ning Cheng couldn't help but wonder if he could bring out the bottle of medicinal pills he had originally prepared. A moment later, two boys walked into the main hall, holding hands with a man and a woman, and came to the main platform. The woman wore a red shawl and a phoenix coronet on her head, which looked similar to ancient Chinese women getting married. Golden ribbons hung down from the front of the phoenix coronet, which completely covered her face. Ning Cheng recognized her at a glance. This female cultivator was the woman he had met before, who had given him 2 jade strips. When Ning Cheng saw the bridegroom next to Su Baijiao, he suddenly felt a chill in his heart. This bridegroom looked just too ugly. His nostrils almost reached the sky, and his pair of thick lips protruded out as if he was afraid that others wouldn't notice. Although his eyes were big, they were round and had no edges at all. Thinking of Su Baijiao's charming appearance, Ning Qing couldn't help but laugh in his heart. Even this woman could endure it. Ning Qing didn't know what advantages this Duan Gantai had, that even Su Baijiao of the Su clan had to marry him. As for why Duan Gantai didn't undergo plastic surgery, Ning Qing didn't find it surprising. Cultivators and ordinary people were different. Cultivators cultivated their hearts to defy the heavens. As the saying goes, one's appearance comes from one's heart. Although one's appearance might change after cultivation, this change would never be too big. One could indeed become more handsome after plastic surgery, but as long as one continued to cultivate, one's appearance would return to normal, even more obvious than before. Female cultivators mostly had feminine bodies, which meant that they would have a more subtle effect on their appearance compared to male cultivators. There were even some cultivation methods that made female cultivators more beautiful the more they cultivated. Therefore, among the cultivators in the starry skies, female cultivators were much more beautiful. Moreover, this kind of beauty was truly beautiful and could be passed on to future generations, unlike the beauties of some countries. Although one might look like a decent person, everything would become clear after giving birth to offspring. While Ning Qing observed Su Baijiao and Duan Gantai, Su Baijiao's spiritual consciousness fell on Ning Qing at the same time. Ning Qing quickly retracted his spiritual consciousness and cupped his fists toward Su Baijiao. He knew that Su Baijiao had recognized him. Sure enough, Su Baijiao gave Ning Qing a slight nod, seemingly a little surprised. At the same time, Ning Qing felt an incomparably sharp killing intent sweeping towards him. It was Duan Gantai. This fellow had a strong sensitivity. Ning Qing and Su Baijiao had only exchanged a slight greeting, yet this fellow had already sensed it. No wonder the Su clan wanted to recruit this Duan Gantai. This fellow truly wasn't simple. However, Ning Qing didn't care about it. Duan Gantai was only at the full circle of heaven's mandate realm, so he didn't fear him at all. Meng Yangzi saw Fairy Baijiao 3 years ago and was shocked by her beauty. Today is a joyous occasion, and Fairy Baijiao is even more stunning. Meng Yangzi wishes to congratulate Fairy Baijiao on her wedding, so I present a small gift to express my congratulations. A handsome man in white robes stood up, instantly diverting Duan Gantai's killing intent towards Ning Qing. To be precise, it was after the white-robed man said that Su Baijiao was beautiful that Duan Gantai's killing intent fell on this Meng Yangzi. Ning Qing felt a little speechless. This Duan Gantai was just too sensitive. Meng Yangzi had only praised Su Baijiao's beauty a few times, yet this guy was already filled with killing intent. If someone said a word to Su Baijiao, or did something a little too excessive, then wouldn't this guy immediately explode? How would he live with Su Baijiao in the future? Meng Yangzi was the first to send out a gift, and a female cultivator standing behind Su Baijiao immediately came forward with a white jade plate. Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness swept out and saw Meng Yangzi put a ring on the jade plate, along with a list of gifts. The list read, a middle-grade defensive Dao artifact jade hairpin, 100,000 high-grade immortal crystals, 5,000 perpetual moon pills. The ring did not have any restrictions, so Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness seeped into the ring and immediately saw the high-grade immortal crystals. In fact, it looked the same as the starry sky crystals in his ring, but much purer than his starry sky crystals. But this was also normal, as the starry sky crystals in his ring were only low-grade. At this time, Ning Qing also understood that high-grade immortal crystals were just another name for starry sky crystals, which meant that they came from a different positional plane. After the female cultivator received Meng Yangzi's gift, she immediately shouted, Eternal Night Domain's refining heart mountain disciple Meng Yangzi presents a middle-grade Dao artifact jade hairpin, 100,000 high-grade immortal crystals, 5,000 perpetual moon pills. Even in Ning Qing's opinion, this gift list was not light. Unexpectedly, Duan Gantai gave a cold snort and spoke with a muffled voice. Today is my and Baijiao's wedding day. What do you mean by sending medicinal pills? Ning Qing, like the rest of the cultivators, felt stunned. Perpetual moon pills were cultivation resources. Strictly speaking, they were not medicinal pills at all. Besides, even if they were medicinal pills, Duan Tai, a son-in-law who married into the family, didn't have any subtlety in saying such words on the spot. Others naturally had good intentions in sending gifts, but this fellow treated others' good intentions as malicious intent. Meng Yang's expressions suddenly turned ugly. He had considered giving away perpetual moon pills for a long time. This medicinal pill also had a lot of use to him. Now that he gave it as a gift, not only did others not appreciate it, but they even found fault with him. It was just too much. At this moment, Su Baijiao suddenly spoke up. Husband, senior apprentice brother Meng gave perpetual moon pills out of goodwill. Besides, perpetual moon pills are not medicinal pills, so it's not inauspicious. Duan Gantai gave a snort and did not continue to find fault with her. Su Baijiao did not seem to care about Duan Gantai's cold snort. Instead, she nodded to the female cultivator who received the gift. The female cultivator who received the gift saw it and continued to read aloud, Meng Yang's generous gift, please enter the inner residence and take a seat of honor. Meng Yang's complexion turned a little better. He stood up and cupped his fists towards the rest of the people before following the female cultivator who led the way out of the hall. Ning Qing understood that only those who gave generous gifts could enter the inner residence as guests. Otherwise, they could only sit here for a while before leaving. It was simply too straightforward. It was just that the person who gave the most gifts would enter the inner residence. Chapter 655. With Meng Yangzi taking the lead, the cultivators behind him quickly took out their gifts. Most of them sent immortal crystals, high-grade starry sky spiritual grasses, various Tao artifacts, starry sky battleships and the like. However, no one sent any more perpetual moon pills, which made Ning Qing feel a bit amused. This Duan Gantai really was a piece of work, cursing back the best gifts. What was the most important thing for a cultivator? Naturally, it was cultivation resources. Perpetual moon pills were a much better cultivation resource for Heaven's Mandate cultivators compared to high-grade immortal crystals. Ning Qing knew that he had to change his gift. Previously, he had prepared a bottle of Grade 4 Celestial River medicinal pills, harmonizing celestial pills. With Meng Yang's example, if he sent medicinal pills and not even perpetual moon pills, wouldn't he just be asking for trouble? Sure enough, as Ning Qing guessed, whoever sent more gifts, the female cultivator receiving the gifts would invite them to sit in the inner residence. This was a matter of face. Many of the cultivators here knew each other. If the people around them were invited to the inner residence, then they could only sit outside. It would be a huge loss of face. However, despite this, not many cultivators entered the inner residence. Not everyone was as rich as Meng Yangzi. Most of the cultivators didn't want to lose face, but they couldn't come up with so many things. Ning Qing didn't care about it. He didn't know anyone here. The only reason he came here to send gifts was because of Ji Min's help. He couldn't tell Ji Min that he came here to attend Su Baijiao's wedding and then disappear after entering the Eternal Night Domain. Ning Qing had already prepared his gift, which was a mid-grade Celestial River-class battleship. It was also his spoils of war, which made it suitable as a gift. After sending the gifts, he would leave. As for staying here as a guest in the inner residence, he had no interest in it. At this moment, the female cultivator's voice almost made Ning Qing jump up. Ning Qing thought that he had heard it wrong and quickly listened carefully. Sure enough, he heard the same words as the second time. Eternal Night Domain's Weapon Pavilion's Gongyezhua sends 10 drops of purple Yin spring water. Please enter the inner residence. Ning Qing had been searching for the purple Yin spirit spring, but many people had never even heard of it. But today, he heard the words purple Yin spring water. He wondered if this purple Yin spring water was the purple Yin spirit spring. But no matter what, Ning Qing would not let go of the opportunity to get to know this Gongyezhua. Ning Qing couldn't understand why only a few people in Grand Culmination Starry Skies knew about the purple Yin spring water, but even a female attendant here knew that it was a good thing. Gongyezhua had already followed the female attendant into the inner residence, and at this time, there weren't many cultivators who hadn't sent gifts. Ning Cheng saw the female cultivator in charge of receiving the gifts arrive in front of him, and quickly took out a ring and placed it on the white jade tray, while simultaneously engraving a list of gifts onto it. When the female cultivator who received the gifts saw Ning Cheng's list of gifts, her eyes immediately lit up and she immediately sang out in a loud voice. Eternal Night Domains. Ning Cheng sends a Starry Sky Grade 9 Firewind Crow's Tail Feather, a middle-grade defensive Dao artifact, a middle-grade Celestial River-class battleship. At this moment, almost all eyes swept towards Ning Cheng. A rogue cultivator with an unremarkable cultivation had unexpectedly sent out so many good things. Not to mention anything else, just the tail feathers of a Starry Sky Grade 9 demonic beast, Flame Wind Crow, were worth a lot of money, which far exceeded the gift list of almost all cultivators. Even Su Baijiao's gaze fell on Ning Cheng, feeling amazed by Ning Cheng's generosity and wealth. She even decided to talk to Ning Cheng later and convince him to stay in the Su clan. Ning Cheng was indeed a cultivator in the Celestial River realm, but this cultivator not only had great potential, but also could take out so many good things at will, indicating that his net worth was countless times richer than the things he brought out. The only one with a hostile gaze was Duan Gantai. He had seen Ning Cheng greet Su Baijiao before, and now Ning Cheng sent out such a generous gift, which made him feel extremely uncomfortable. However, Ning Cheng's gift did not contain any medicinal pills, which meant that he couldn't find an excuse. Honorable guest Ning Cheng, please take a seat in the inner residence. After the female cultivator in charge of receiving the gifts said those words, Ning Cheng finally felt relieved. The reason why he sent out a middle-grade Dao artifact and a Celestial River-class battleship was because he feared that Duan Gantai would say that the Flame Wind Crow's tail feather was not enough. For the sake of the Purple Een Spirit Spring, why would he care about a middle-grade Dao artifact and an ordinary Celestial River-class battleship? Middle-grade Dao artifacts might be precious to others, but for him, it was something that he could easily refine. He already had 20 or 30 Starry Sky Grade 9 Flame Wind Crow's tail feathers in his ring. Ning Cheng followed the female cultivator into the inner residence and came to a wooden hall. Although this hall did not look as luxurious as the one outside, Ning Cheng could feel the difference as soon as he entered. This was because the house exuded a strong vitality. Ning Cheng felt sure that the wood used to build this house was not simple and definitely a good material. For the Su clan to use this kind of wood to build a house, it showed that they were rich and overbearing. There were dozens of cultivators sitting inside the house. Ning Cheng casually glanced around and saw several heaven-seated powerhouses. Not seeing any life and death or eternal powerhouses, Ning Cheng finally felt a little relieved. He naturally didn't think that the Su clan did not have any guests in the life and death or eternal realm. If these powerhouses were not accompanied by someone, then these powerhouses must have sent people to deliver gifts. The female cultivator led Ning Cheng to a seat, but Ning Cheng did not sit down according to her instructions. Instead, he nodded to her and took the initiative to walk over to Gong Yizhua's side and sit down. The female cultivator, on seeing Ning Cheng find a seat, did not say anything and just offered him some spiritual tea before taking the initiative to withdraw. The guests sitting inside should be considered as distinguished guests of the Su clan. Except for 7 or 8 cultivators in the heaven-seated realm and some very important cultivators, the rest were like Ning Cheng, cultivators with relatively heavy gifts. The cultivators in the heaven-seated realm naturally sat at the head of the table and chatted with each other. As for Ning Cheng and the other cultivators who had not reached the heaven-seated realm, even if they wanted to speak, they had to speak in a low voice. Gong Yizhua, on seeing Ning Cheng deliberately walk over and sit down next to him, nodded to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng cupped his fists towards Gong Yizhua with a smile. Rogue cultivator Ning Cheng greets brother Gongya. Ning Cheng's politeness quickly aroused Gong Yizhua's goodwill, and he also returned the courtesy. I don't dare. It is Gong Yizhua's honor to meet brother Ning. Ning Cheng, of course, knew that Gong Yizhua spoke out of politeness, but he didn't care about it. Instead, he asked in a low voice, Brother Gongya, I just saw you take out the Purple Een spring water. What is that? Why do others know about it, but I've never seen it before? Gong Yizhua, on seeing Ning Cheng's sincere attitude, also spoke up. Brother Ning might have been training outside and only recently returned to the eternal night domain. 100 years ago, two powerful Tao-confirming cultivators fought their way to the outside of the eternal night domain. These two people were a man and a woman, with amazing cultivation. I'm afraid that even an eternal-level Starry Sky Emperor would not be able to stand up to such powerhouses. At that time, outside the eternal night domain, the female cultivator asked the man to hand over the purple Een Spirit Spring Bead. However, the man refused. As a result, the two of them ended up fighting outside the eternal night domain. At this point, Gongyu's tone turned even lower. Did you know? It turns out that there are two broken planets outside the eternal night domain. These two planets are the two array entrances of the eternal night domain. In the middle of these two planets, there is also a beautiful spiritual spring pool. This starry sky spiritual spring pool is not used for cultivation, but to set off the imposing aura and spirituality of the eternal night domain. Later, when the two powerhouses fought, even if they were far away from the eternal night domain, the aftermath of the celestial essence still turned the two broken planets into nothingness. Otherwise, the eternal night domain would have looked much more imposing than it does now. Fortunately, the two cultivators knew that there were many cultivators in the eternal night domain. Therefore, after destroying the array entrances of the two planets of the eternal night domain, they quickly moved away. When Ning Cheng heard about the purple Een Spirit Spring Bead, he started to suspect that the purple Een Spirit Spring Bead had something to do with the purple Een Spirit Spring Bead. He asked even more eagerly, "Brother Gongya, how did you get the purple Een Spirit Spring Bead?" Gongya spoke with a slightly proud tone. Speaking of which, the purple Een Spirit Spring Bead has something to do with the two cultivators who fought. That powerful female cultivator senior seemed to be called Jishi. At that time, the man took out a bead and sneered, saying that if you have the ability, then come and take it. Unexpectedly, the man got too carried away and ended up getting sneak attacked by the female cultivator called Jishi. The purple Een Spirit Spring Bead then fell into the starry sky spiritual spring pool outside the eternal night domain. That female cultivator moved very quickly. She snatched the purple Een Spirit Spring Bead first and then quickly escaped. The man felt angry and chased after her. Later, there was no more news about the two of them. The purple Een Spirit Spring Bead soaked in the purple Een Spirit Spring Bead. So much? Ning Cheng's shocked voice grew a little louder, which immediately attracted a lot of attention. But Ning Cheng didn't care about it at this time. Gongyuo whispered, "Yes, that starry sky spiritual spring pool became special because the purple Een Spirit Spring Bead fell in it. The water in the spiritual spring pool can help people comprehend spirit techniques and even help body-forging cultivators strengthen their meridians. This spring water naturally becomes precious. I obtained these 10 drops by accident. Today, I took this opportunity to give them to Fairy Baijiao." Ning Cheng took in a breath of cold air. No wonder everyone in this place knew about the purple Een Spirit Spring Bead. He didn't expect that the purple Een Spirit Spring Bead would come from such a place. The purple Een Spirit Spring Bead had only fallen into the purple Een Spirit Spring Bead, yet it caused such a huge effect. Didn't this mean that the purple Een Spirit Spring Bead was too powerful? In any case, Ning Cheng felt sure that even if the purple Een Spirit Spring Bead wasn't the purple Een Spirit Spring Bead, the purple Een Spirit Spring Bead was the thing he was looking for. It wasn't just because of the same name, but also because the functions of the two were similar. Strengthening spirit techniques and reshaping the meridians. The purple Een Spirit Spring Bead couldn't reshape the meridians because the purple Een Spirit Spring Bead only soaked in it for a moment. But where could he find Jishi? Besides, even if he found Jishi, how could he take back the purple Een Spirit Spring Bead? That Jishi and another man fought outside the Eternal Night Domain and even destroyed the Eternal Night Domain's array entrance. Moreover, no Eternal Starry Sky Emperor came out to stop them, which showed that their cultivations far surpassed Eternal Starry Sky Emperors. Facing an Eternal Realm Holy Emperor, he had to escape. But facing Jishi, a cultivator stronger than an Eternal Starry Sky Emperor, he wouldn't even have a chance to escape. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng's eyes dimmed. In the end, his strength was just too low. Chapter 656. While Ningcheng was still worried about the purple Yin spirit spring in the eternal night domain, Ji Luofei had already arrived at the periphery of the Ice Immortal Ridge. After Ji Luofei pushed open the door and entered, the Ice Immortal Ridge changed again. The crack in the Ice Immortal Ridge slowly closed again. Many cultivators who wanted to enter the Ice Immortal Ridge hurriedly retreated and watched as the crack slowly closed. Ji Luofei knew about the Ice Immortal Ridge, but she had never come here before. He only knew that this place was sealed in ice all year round, so he couldn't see the slightest thing inside. The ice lake was clearly in the Ice Immortal Ridge, but it did not freeze. Above the frozen lake, there was a thick fog that was several times colder than the surrounding ice rocks. This kind of chill carried a trace of the aura of death. Perhaps after a while, she would not be burned to ashes by the flames of qi deviation, but would be turned into ashes by the cold of the frozen lake. Ji Luofei flew for several days. However, not only did she not find any usable cultivation resources, she also could not find any mystic realm. 2 days later, she felt her celestial essence going out of control, and her entire body felt like it was on fire. The reopening of the Ice Immortal Ridge on the radial immortal star had indeed attracted the attention of many people. However, this time it was exactly the same as the last time it was opened, and the time it took for it to close was even shorter. In just a few months, the crack closed again. Just like last time, none of the cultivators who entered the Ice Immortal Ridge came out. Ningcheng left a spiritual consciousness message on the spot where Su Baijiao had pinched. Meet me at the Eternal Night City's Eternal Sand Rest Stop tomorrow night. I have something you need. Bang. At this time, Ji Luofei's feet touched the ground. She had already reached the bottom of the lake. Su Baijiao and Duan Gantai walked side by side behind this man and followed him inside. While Ji Luofei was still hesitating, several figures quickly passed by her and rushed into the crack in the Ice Immortal Ridge. Poof! The terrifying flames swept through Ji Luofei's Zifu, causing her Zifu to instantly suffer heavy damage. Unable to bear it any longer, she spat out a mouthful of hot blood. His blood splattered on the icy rocks beside him, making a sizzling sound. His blood was so hot, yet it was unable to melt even the slightest bit of the ice. If it weren't for her flying for several days in the Ice Immortal Ridge, which stimulated her celestial essence, her cultivation deviation might not have happened so quickly, but it would have broken out in the future. Was this the crack of the Ice Immortal Ridge? Ji Luofei looked at the mouth of the Grim Reaper and subconsciously shuddered. She did not know if it was the right thing to do to go in or not. This kind of burning came from the meridians of her body, as if she would be completely burned to ashes in the next moment. Ji Luofei suddenly felt ashamed of her own hesitation, as the others did not hesitate to rush in. She had made up her mind to come and had even specially prepared for a period of time before entering the Ice Immortal Ridge. Now that she was at the entrance of the Ice Immortal Ridge, she actually didn't dare to enter. After entering, Ji Luofei felt a horrifying chill wrapping around her body. She could only continue to stimulate her celestial essence to fly inside. Although she had advanced from the Celestial Novice Realm to the Celestial Bridge Realm in just 5 years, she had forcibly absorbed a massive amount of celestial essence qi. However, her foundation was far from reaching such a level. In addition to the terrifying coldness, it also gave people a strong feeling that there must be a lot of good things inside. Ji Luofei gave out a sigh. She was in a hurry to improve her cultivation as soon as possible. She had crazily absorbed perpetual moon pills and swallowed other medicinal pills, but she had forgotten that haste makes waste in cultivation. Even if others had so many cultivation resources, it would take them 50 years or even 500 years to complete the consumption. However, she had forcibly completed it in just 5 years. With a powerful expert like Su Yukinghong here, Duan Gantai's hidden killing intent could not escape from Su Yukinghong. Ningcheng secretly shook his head. Couldn't this fellow bear it a little longer? A rich wine fragrance filled the entire hall in an instant. This wine fragrance gave people an indescribable lingering feeling. This was definitely a good wine. Even people who didn't understand wine would know that this was a first-class wine. Ningqing reached out and took Su Baijiao's wineglass. However, he did not expect that Su Baijiao would gently pinch his finger. Although it was just a touch, Ningqing knew that Duan Gantai had already seen it. Although the flames in her body burned fiercely, Ji Luofei couldn't help but think of Ningqing. She couldn't help but think of the tenderness and lingering feelings between her and Ningqing. This only made the flames in her body burn even faster and the temperature rise even faster. When Ji Luofei felt a trace of chill, her heart sank again. The heart devil's flame caused by the devil's qi deviation had also been offset by the chill. Even if her cultivation had fallen, without the devil's heart flame, she couldn't resist the chill at all. "Dear, I'm leaving first." After Ji Luofei spoke this sentence in despair, she looked back at the endless ice road. She then slanted towards a fork in the ice cave and jumped into an ice lake. The cultivators inside the ice immortal ridge could only see the ice rocks on the left and right moving slowly, while the space around them grew smaller and smaller. Duan Gantai carried the wine pot and wineglass, while Su Baijiao delivered one glass after another to the guests. Just like this, they quickly arrived in front of Ningqing. As the devil's flame and the chill continued to fuse, the devil's flame within Ji Luofei's body gradually weakened. At the same time, her cultivation also weakened under the collision of the ice and fire. Before she even reached the bottom of the ice lake, her cultivation had already fallen from the Celestial Bridge realm to the Celestial Gatherer realm. However, it still didn't stop, and her cultivation still continued to decline. What surprised Ji Luofei was that after she entered, she couldn't see any other cultivators. No matter how long she flew, no matter how fast she moved, she was the only one in the surroundings except for the occasional forks in the road. After spurting out another mouthful of blood, Ji Luofei's eyes flashed with despair. She finally understood what was going on. For Ji Luofei, rather than burning to death due to the devil's flame, she might as well take the initiative to jump into the ice lake filled with the aura of death. She could feel the aura of death because the ice lake was too cold. Because of this cold, it brought about the aura of death. How did Su Baijiao know what he needed? Ningqing looked up in shock, but Su Baijiao had almost finished the toast. Her cultivation method was powerful enough to absorb these resources, but her body couldn't bear it. The crack in the ice immortal ridge seemed endless. As Ji Luofei flew all the way, she could see some forks in the road from time to time. Some of these forks led to an ice rock wall, while others led to a small ice lake. However, everything in this place was sealed in ice. Everything in front of her was a snow-white color. Ji Luofei had just fallen into the lake when the cold, which could freeze a body-forging cultivator into nothingness, immediately penetrated Ji Luofei's body. The burning celestial essence flames within Ji Luofei's body collided with the cold, which unexpectedly gave Ji Luofei a comfortable feeling. At this time, all the cultivators remaining in the ice immortal ridge panicked and wanted to quickly retreat. However, even if they retreated quickly, they couldn't keep up with the closing speed of the 3-foot-wide crack. Previously, he had used millions of perpetual moon pills, 5 years, the mysterious yellow origin, and a large number of medicinal pills. However, he still couldn't even step into the Heaven's Mandate realm. He couldn't even cultivate to the full circle. This speed might be fast for others, but for Ningqing, it was too slow. He couldn't continue like this. When the ice rocks on both sides closed, the trapped cultivators finally understood why none of the cultivators who entered the ice immortal ridge came out. The ice rocks on both sides were extremely hard. Even cultivators in the heaven-seated realm could only watch as the ice rocks closed up and turned into nothingness. Ningqing immediately thought of the none to depend on wine. He had always wanted to drink a pot of the real none to depend on wine. However, he had always been running around to improve his cultivation and never had a good opportunity to do so. Ningqing still wondered if Duan Gantai's temperament had changed. But when Duan Gantai and Su Baijiao greeted the next cultivator, Duan Gantai's intense murderous intent still shrouded over them. Ningqing breathed a sigh of relief. He was just thinking what was going on. This guy really was a dog that could not change its nature to eat shit. At this moment, Ji Luofei's cultivation and her celestial essence spiritual consciousness turned into barrels of intense oil that poured into the flames burning within her body. It seemed that the higher her cultivation, the more intense the oil. At this time, Ji Luofei stood outside the ice immortal ridge and saw a crack about 1 foot high and 3 feet wide. As her spiritual consciousness swept in, she couldn't even see the end of it. The icy coldness inside felt as if it wanted to freeze her spiritual consciousness. He hadn't gathered all the wood origin in the mysterious yellow bead yet. Therefore, if he went inside to cultivate, he would easily expose himself. Ning Cheng rubbed his hair in distress and finally clenched his fists. Once exposed, he would use the starry sky wheel to escape. He couldn't afford to waste any more time like this. Distinguished guests, Su Yukinghong is very grateful to my Su clan for attending my daughter Bai Jiao's wedding. In order to express my Su clan's gratitude, my daughter Bai Jiao and my son-in-law Gantai would like to propose a toast to you. After the man who called himself Su Yukinghong finished speaking, he raised his hand and took out a wine pot. At the same time, he opened the spout of the wine pot. At this moment, Ning Cheng's voice and smile once again appeared in Ji Luofei's mind. Her face suddenly showed a calm look, and her figure flashed before disappearing into the icy crack. An iron door appeared in the range of her spiritual consciousness. Ji Luofei, who had already turned purple from the cold, rushed directly towards the iron door and pushed it open. The iron gate actually opened. There were no restrictions, nor were there any obstructions. Just when Ning Cheng thought that Duan Gantai would also reveal a strong killing intent, he saw a smile on Duan Gantai's face. His ugly face didn't show any discomfort. It was as if he wasn't the same person as before. Duan Gantai already paid a lot of attention to him. Now that Su Baijiao acted like this, it would be strange if Duan Gantai didn't notice it. Ning Cheng felt a little uncomfortable in his heart. He wasn't afraid of Duan Gantai, but he felt that Su Baijiao did it on purpose. A middle-aged man with a long beard walked into the hall of the wooden house. The cultivators in the hall immediately stopped talking and stood up to greet this cultivator with cupped fists. Ning Cheng also quickly stood up. He didn't use his spiritual consciousness to scan this cultivator. With his vision, he could tell that this cultivator was at least a late-stage life and death expert, or even an eternal level expert. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.